There we go.
All right, well,
We're
you
live.
better hurry up because I'm. Oh, okay.
Hi, everyone. Number one Marmaduke fan here. We've been talking about obscure RPGs that are probably not family friendly behind the scenes. Today, I am joined by artist and writer Alice Snow
Hello.
and All Punch Man.
Hello. All right.
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and mention it. Apparently, the Trove is down. I just found out about it, and now it's gone. It was a laundry list of amazing old RPG stuff. So Punchy's been tempting me with obscure RPG lore. So I don't know, but maybe that's a video for another day. So today we are looking at My Hero Academia, starting with Chapter 14. We're going to try to wrap up the final battle for USJ today. So I guess let's start with maybe just opening overall thoughts. Punchy, would you go first with your overall thoughts, and then we'll give Alice a chance to give us her overall thoughts on this battle.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just searching through this book for it is the one that I was I was thinking of, but it's not safe for work, so I won't mention much about it. Yeah, sorry, we were supposed to be discussing My Hero Academia, right?
Yes.
Yeah, overall thoughts. I don't know. I'll have to wait a bit to get into that. I think. I mean, I know you guys were highly recommending um, this sequence, and I don't want to say I was disappointed. Um, Maybe I was expecting something else. It certainly wasn't bad, right? And it definitely wasn't anywhere anything worse than previous episodes. So um, yeah, I don't know. We'll get into it. But what about Alice? What do you think?
I enjoyed it. It showed off what All Might could do. Though we still know that this is not his prime state.
Yeah, and I mean it
But
also
it gives you
showed
a
off.
glimpse into what he was like.
Yeah, and it also showed off, what the other kids could do as well, which I thought was kind of interesting. Um, but yeah, we'll get into it as we go along. So
Yeah, I kind of like maybe tying into the getting to see what the kids can do. I did kind of appreciate getting to see the secondary characters act so much. The protagonist Deku gets a couple cool moments, but we really do get a sense that everybody here participates, or maybe at least gets one little moment in the sun. So where last we left off, oh yes, I
Yeah,
recall. So,
Todoroki was basically chewing the villains out for being so weak.
and then the Shigaraki, the Shadow Cloak guy, kind of helped him calm down and remind him to kill the symbol of peace. And I remember Deku,
the
Sue, and Mineta managed to escape from the water themed bad guys uh, on the boat, kind of like by having Deku break one of his fingers to distract most of them, and then Sue hop them out of there. So they barely managed to escape, and then they caught sight of the stronger bad guys.
You would think with in the beginning, with how much Deku breaks everything, that he likes it.
Oh, you know what I did? I mixed this up. Okay. I'm sorry. I was describing the plot of this episode. Last episode was just when the bad guys showed up. Boom! Right at the beginning. Bam! That was our cliffhanger. Okay.
Yeah, they were they
Now
were
I remember
supposed to they were supposed to be doing like the environment training, and they had like a whole little thing on like the rules of the environment training, and then boom,
evil bad
villains
guys.
And we
Yeah.
were
villains show
talking
up.
about 13's gender.
Yeah. Now,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
you were able to confirm that she's a woman, right? Right, Alice?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that is confirmed, and I double checked with the wikis and things, and it is. I think they said that initially, there weren't really any plans for the gender, but eventually they settled on it being a girl. So
Nice. The first big thing that stood out to me when I was reading this and kind of like live tweeting my thoughts on it was how well Eraserhead did in this fight. This is kind of basically this is kind of basically it's funny later, but this is basically that we've got to stall for time. We've got to stall for time until Goku shows up, right? And so Eraserhead is stalling for time until Goku shows up, and
most of the teachers actually.
Yeah. Right. And
it's not just one teacher. He's waiting for all the others.
He takes the he's the vanguard. So Eraserhead jumps into battle, and then 13 ends up concentrating on the Kurogiri, the shadow cloak. I'm just gonna call him Shadow Cloak guy. Kurogiri, I can remember that.
Yeah, right, Kurogiri, I think is his name.
Yeah, I'm sure it means like black cloak or something like that. I know Kuro means black.
Black
everybody's
fog.
Black fog. All right. Fog. So one cool thing about Eraserhead is his power cancels out other guys' powers. Right. So he actually doesn't have the best superpower for fighting. So he's just taught himself to be like a real badass ninja martial artist, which is kind of cool. It's basically his badass normal moment where he's relying purely on well-trained martial arts skills. And my thought was this kind of gives us more context into why he was sort of tough on Deku, but eventually willing to give Deku a chance. Like Deku also has, right now he has a power that is useful, but he can't control it. And so that makes him useless. So no good hero is a one-trick pony is actually the lesson that Eraserhead's trying to teach Deku. And he practices what he preaches. He's got a cool superpower, but he's trained himself for situations like this where he'll have to deal with bad guys whose powers he can't cancel out, like the heteromorphic types where their body literally is, like if your body's a rock, I can't cancel your body from being a rock just by looking at you, right? So we're also getting some nerdy details about how specifically his power works.
Yeah, is that I mean, is there like a I'm sure there probably is, but some kind of big like index of all the different power types and things, like a Pokemon, like like water type and fire type. Instead, it's like heteromorphic type and operative type or stuff like that. Like has that all been fleshed out? Or
Alice, do you have any familiarity with that? Like, are there good indexes of all the little details of how this universe works?
Aside from what I know about mutation quirks, not much.
Okay.
I really didn't pay attention to those.
Yeah. So for me, this is like a world building.
Though there is a lot of races, and there is a lot of prejudice against those who have mutation quirks.
Yeah. Okay. The cats and the dogs and the weird looking type. Well, yeah, probably drawing inspiration from X-Men. So for me, like I've seen little details about how powers work in character descriptions, but I still haven't seen anything that lays out, on a map, here's every type of power category. So we're getting information about how powers are categorized in the midst of a fight scene where, the dialogue is relevant to the strategy of the situation. So Eraserhead uses like these winding bandages around his head as a weapon. And this is kind of a cool detail. His hair goes up when he's using his power and it flops down when he can't use his power anymore. So again, it's like a Goku thing. There's got to be something cool that visually about the character that visually represents when they're using their power or not. And I think later Shigaraki is actually smart enough to pick up on this little detail and use it.
He notices the hair going in front of his eyes. I think that was the quote. Let me see, because I've got that marked out too somewhere, but at least I thought I did. I see.
Buried in your notes?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the notes, because he notices his hair going in front of Eraserhead's hair going in front of his eyes when he's like not I think it was when he's not canceling powers or something, or when he's doing something with the canceling powers, and he's got an opening.
When he blinks, his power ends, and when he blinks, his hair flops down.
Yeah,
So
well, the thing, because I think the catch in this fight is that because he was wearing those sunglasses, people couldn't see his eyes, and that meant that
It's also
they
supposed to
couldn't
keep the
tell who's
wind out of
being.
his eyes too.
Yeah, they don't know what his eyes are doing, so they can't tell who's being canceled at any one moment, or if he's blinking or something, they don't know. Um, but when his hair flops down like that, that's the tell, that he's got an opening where the bad guys can exploit it.
it's a costume detail that actually has practical purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Like it went into detail, but it
Yeah,
it,
you
it
can.
helped.
I think all of the costumes have some version have some practicalities in them,
Mm,
like Bakugo's accumulates his sweat faster, and also stores it in other things, so that way he could use make grenades out of his sweat and stuff.
yeah.
But I just remember they had to request it because they make a point later when I think it's Denki, the electric boy. The electric boy didn't request anything to help him with his limitation on his power. So he basically has electric charges, but he has no way to fire them reliably. So man, that's the most important homework assignment of his life. Hey, fill out this government form carefully to get your costume. It could be a matter of life or death, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, because don't they get into that with Earphone Girl as well? Like,
Yeah, Earphone Girl actually has a costume where it's directly relevant to her power. Yeah, she realized that she needed a way to aim her abilities more reliably.
Yeah, I mean that's getting towards like really close to the end. But yeah, that did become a major point, was the character that didn't have the right costume got his ass beat, and then the character who did had to come to the rescue.
Good point. We'll get to that. So
Yeah,
yeah, Pikachu boy really messed himself up in this fight.
Though that's a natural side effect of his power. Like anytime he uses an overcharge of his power, it fries his brain, right? Because he was supposed to be like the vocabulary nerd. He infuriated Bakugo with all of his three syllable words. So, all right. Speaking of Bakugo and Kirishima hop right into battle the second Kurogiri shows up, which is kind of nice because it's like they're the bold, masculine men of action, right? So they jump right into action without thinking and actually get in the way of 13, which gives Kurogiri enough time to sort of randomly throw everyone around the field, which is how Deku ends up with Sue and Mineta the pervert in the middle of the artificial lake.
Yeah, Mineta really doesn't upgrade his stuff all that well.
Yeah, we do get our first little. I think he describes his power here. Yep. So Deku realizes we're in a tight spot. Everybody describes their powers, and Mineta's is kind of a joke. He has sticky balls.
He has sticky balls
that only he doesn't stick to.
He has a lot of sticky balls.
Yeah, except that if he uses them if he pulls too many of them off, then he starts to either cry blood or his scalp starts to bleed.
Yeah, is that supposed to be a reference to like the nosebleed trope from anime and manga? You know what I mean? Like whenever you see a pretty girl, it's supposed to be like
Well, it doesn't happen it doesn't happen when he's looking at pretty girls. It happens when he's in like serious distress.
Yeah, well,
it
happens when he's playing with his balls too much. When he's grabbing his balls too much and throwing his balls around.
The thing is, I thought the whole balls thing was supposed to be about like Mineta being like a little poop, right? Because he even says
Oh,
when I
he's a
take
poop?
yeah, when he says, well, I took a clean poop this morning, therefore that means that my balls will be extra
What?
effective, right? So it's sort of like it's saying he's a little poop head, right?
Well,
Oh,
it
okay.
well actually it's because depending on his mood, it his allows his balls to be more stickier.
Well,
So
yeah,
if
I
he's in
mean,
a good mood, you're gonna have it's gonna be like super glue. If he's not in a good mood, you could probably peel yourself off.
yeah,
Welcome to
so
Metal. Welcome Flyfox Pro. We are currently talking about probably the least
we're talking
popular
about
character in fiction right about now. This
we're,
is a
we're
little
talking about a little guy's sticky balls, and when he gets the happier he gets, the stickier they get, and if he plays with them too much, he starts bleeding everywhere. Um, so
And at the end of the chapter ends where we get a brief glimpse of where everybody is. So a few people are still left with Kurogiri. Razorhead's still surrounded, and most of the kids are split up into different zones. But Todoroki, the OP kid, is doing pretty well, even all by himself.
Yeah, he's. I think that's the part when he starts like chewing out the villains.
Yeah,
saying that
you guys are getting beat by a kid.
Huh?
The other nice bit is he wants to be a hero, so he threatens them with death. But I as a future hero, I don't want to kill you guys, so you better answer me quick. Todoroki does a good job of going just dark enough to interrogate people.
Mhm.
Flyfox Pro asks, what kind of weird anime is this? My Hero Academia. It's the latest craze. All the teens love it. The hot new anime of 2016.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it was the hot new anime. It's kind of long in the tooth now, but yeah. Can I say I really liked the introduction of Frog Girl's powers though.
Yeah.
I thought that was rather clever. They just said she can do whatever a frog can do. Period.
Another kind of like Spider-Man-esque situation. Like Zero, the cellular tape guy, has a pretty big Spider-Man vibe. I think Sue has a Spider-Man vibe in that there's wall climbing. I guess there's tongue as substitute for shooting webs. Sue was also going to be a guy originally, but that was changed to a girl at the last minute.
Yeah, during the USJ fight, she actually smacks Mineta multiple times with her tongue.
So does she ever actually puke up her stomach so that she can clean it?
Yes.
I think she described that as like one of her useless powers, like the secretion that's so upset the pervert Mineta, and the stomach thing. Oh, wait a second. I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it, but the stuff regurgitating her stomach can actually be useful in certain very specific situations. All right. So
wait, what? It gets like Poison Man or something comes out and shoots poison into her, so she's gotta clean her stomach out or something. All right, well,
you'll see. That'll probably be in season 2. I think we'll get to see some of that. So
yeah,
All Might has worn himself out from saving too many people, and the principal, who is a mysterious, cute animal of some sort, arrives to give him a long talking to. Yeah, let me tell you my theories on education. Oh God, this could take all day. So, what's kind of neat about this is we know the kids are in desperate danger, and All Might's sitting around drinking tea with the principal. So it adds a bit of tension where, no, you shouldn't be there. No, go save the kids right now. It's like Alfred Hitchcock said, if the audience knows that there's a bomb under the table, then two characters sitting around drinking tea and talking about politics becomes exciting because they know that there's a bomb under the table.
Yeah,
that and also because it's like well, we are talking here about anime. Someone over there could be getting hit by a car, and we wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, I think they're having a very important conversation, though. I mean, talking to a mouse dog about the luster of his fur because of his keratin powers. I mean, that's that's neat to know
Well,
information.
well, but we're underscoring All Might's flaw of having a messiah complex. Like he can't
Mm.
not save people. He can never just go to work and let someone else take care of the problem. He feels like he has to solve every single problem he comes across.
And that's what his problem
Yeah, he's got too
is.
much stress. He's
He takes too much upon himself,
He-
and he overshadows all the others that could do just as good.
mm.
Well,
take care. Self care lets you be a better hero. A better hero later. Yeah. For the
maybe he
kids.
wouldn't have a hole in his lung
Yeah.
if he just actually didn't hog up all the spotlight.
Well, I actually haven't, where I've left off, I still haven't seen the backstory on what caused the major injury in his chest. So they only kind of like get the they only kind of like dole out bits and pieces of the backstory over time. So for the kids, nobody know the alarms aren't going off. Someone is blocking the alarms with their quirk. So their only hope of getting help is to send somebody as a messenger, and Ida is the natural choice as a speedster type. He initially is sort of like hesitant because he feels like, whoa, well, it's cowardly to run and leave you guys. And 13 basically has to tell him, no, your job is to run and get help. That's what we need you to do. So there is kind of like this neat emphasis that courage isn't
If you
the same.
can't do
Yeah.
something, you need to, but you have the ability to do something else in a much better way, then you have to do the other thing.
Yeah, I mean he was the best suited. I mean when this whole thing first started, I was thinking like, oh yeah, cowardly. Like you know they're setting him up to be the joke character again, just like they set him up to be the joke character during the trials. But as it turns out, there is sound logic and reasoning behind it. So you know they're right. He is the fastest character, so he is the
And
guy that
he
can go
is fast
and
enough
get
to
help.
get
So.
backup.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, you've got to do it. So that I kind of liked. I like the way the author is playing with your expectations there. You know, he sets it up in one way, and then you know it stops being a joke. You know, it starts making sense. You're like, oh, okay. So it's still a little bit funny that you know this big senpai guy has to run away. uh,
I think there's this overall theme of chain of command that's being
yeah.
built up to, like, there's a lot of stuff like, no, do not use your powers, no, do not jump into battle. Like there's a very strong emphasis amongst the teachers and the pros that you guys are kids, you are not supposed to be throwing yourself into these situations. Obey our orders, right. And I actually think that's kind of tying into maybe like the overall theme of heroes in this world aren't, this is not an anarchist world. This is a very, regimented, government run superhero world. And the older adult heroes believe in that chain of command. Basically, it's kind of like it's an interesting
Yeah,
argument because it's showing us the pro of like listening to your commanding officer and obeying your commanding officer's order, but we are having reinforced the idea that these kids are viewed as kids. They aren't viewed as full adults yet.
yeah, well, it's they're American style superheroes in a Japanese style world, really. Because it's like they're all like company men, with the whole chain of command thing. You know, you're not supposed to go off and you know kind of do your own thing and be a loose cannon. Um, it's good to obey the company and know your place.
But I'm kind of expecting the author to maybe like subvert that a little bit too, because there's also this reality TV element to the heroes. So yeah, it's a very strict, orderly, obey the government world, but maybe that's producing heroes who only care about the capitalist success and the
Yeah, well,
spotlight.
yeah,
That is touched upon later.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask if it gets touched upon later because that does actually get brought up in One Punch Man, quite often. Like a criticism of the corporate structure of the hero world. Um, but the medal says that the hot new anime now was also the hot new anime of 1981. I was not aware that they did a remake of Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah.
Is that was that why we were discussing Rumiko Takahashi the other day?
I think it did come up. I know that Takahashi came up, but I don't, and I know we touched on Urusei briefly.
Yeah,
I don't know. That might have been behind the scenes though, unless it was part of one of our tangents.
yeah, that might have been. I don't know where it was from, but yeah, that so they have a remake of it. Or
I've seen a few clips going around.
Okay,
I'm loosely familiar. I haven't read Urusei Yatsura. I've read a little Inuyasha, and I've read like maybe one volume of one half.
Inuyasha was
Ranma one
actually
half.
one
Yeah.
of the first
yeah.
animes that I watched when I was younger.
She also did one called 1 Pound Gospel that's about a boxer who's in love with a nun, but he doesn't get that nuns have a vow of chastity, so he just
really?
goes and so he goes and pesters her all the time because he has a crush on her, and then she's the one who's like encouraging him to like not be a glutton and take his boxing training seriously.
I've never actually seen that. 1 pound boxer, you said, or
1 Pound Gospel.
a 1 pound gospel.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to check that. But yeah, My Hero Academia. Any of you guys read that one? So the sticky balls. We get to the sticky balls
and the frog scene. It's okay. One cool thing about this scene is they're getting to know each other because they need to know their powers and limits strategically. So it's sort of like getting to know your friends, but it's actually relevant to us staying alive right now. And there's also kind of this cool thing where the bad guys don't know what Minetta's powers are. So when they see these sticky balls, they don't know they're sticky balls. They just see random balls.
They're scared of them
in the water. Yeah, and they stay back from them.
I mean, to be honest, if I saw that kid's sticky balls floating around in the water, I wouldn't want to go near him either. So,
a couple things that happen is Deku jumps out and he kind of like tries to channel Kacchan and go crazy. Mineta is impressed because he can tell that Mineta is basically the coward joke. Mineta is the actual like coward joke.
Yeah, he's
bawling big tears.
Well,
yeah.
Even with that, we're going to get to it in a minute, but even with the fact that he's a joke character who can only make sticky balls, the sticky balls do actually come in handy.
Yes.
It turns out that the sticky balls, throwing him in the water, was the exact right move to beat all these villains. So,
I can find that panel. There he is. Yeah. So Deku inspires Mineta to contribute what he can, and even though all he's really doing is just throwing a bunch of balls at them, it actually does contribute because this is kind of cool. The physics of this is cool. I love it when kind of like high school physics become important in a comic. So Deku applies a massive force to a body of water that pushes it out. When the force disappears, the water comes in and collapses, and all the bad guys are sucked into a giant typhoon. And he only sacrifices one finger to do it. So he
not only
doesn't
that, but because the balls being in the water and it getting all pulled down, it was able to catch like every single one.
Bang!
And put them in a sticky prison.
It's a great combo, balls and water. But
so everybody contributed to the scenario. Now
actually because just in relation to that high school physics thing, because that comes back as well in a couple issues with what's her face, the make stuff out of her clothes girl. Right?
Yep. What is her? I gotta get better at this. Creation girl, Momo, right?
I guess. To be honest, I don't know any of their names except for Deku, and that's only because I keep telling myself Deku over and over again. I just think of him as Balls Guy and Frog Girl.
Well, every one of them has a great pun. Like if only I knew Japanese, I'd say, "Oh look, Frog Girl. Her name is Frog. That's easy to remember.
Something like that. Yeah. But I don't know. She was pretty interesting. I do like Frog Girl and oh yeah. Did you get the boobs
Asui?
page?
Oh, the
Boobzongas or something. What was
do
it?
you mean do you mean the panel where Mineta is groping boobs, or do you mean
Yeah, I think or he's doing something with boobs.
He's groping her boobs, and then she tries to pseudo drown him.
Yeah, I think that's next chapter.
Oh, that's the next chapter.
Mineta's Master Roshi moment.
Okay, maybe it was, but because I know this whole thing of Mineta being a pervert, right? Because that gets brought up at the very end.
Here's Horikoshi's note.
Yeah.
Says Horikoshi, I'm a perv myself, so he's always fun to draw. But I realize that some out there aren't big fans of pervs, so it's hard to find just the right balance.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the entire manga run so far was him talking about being a perv and.
Well, and he calls all his students pervs. He's just very open and upfront to the world about this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
he's a pervert and he's proud.
Oh God,
who doesn't care what anyone thinks? He's a proud pervert.
Yeah, what was the because there was something in in video games. A video game maker was accused of making sexy characters in his video games. Do you remember that?
Not the female creator of Bayonetta.
No, I think it was a male.
Honestly, at
creator,
this point,
but,
I think everyone makes hot women in their stuff, in their stories, and I think it just that he just was targeted for doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, because they used to make a lot more sexy girls, but back when they were starting to try and cancel sexy girls. And he basically, I'm going to have to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote. But he said, "Oh, well, the reason I made her like that was because I was trying to make her sexy." And then everyone got really mad at him. So he's like, "Oh, sorry, like I don't speak English that well. I think what I meant to say was I meant to make her really hot and beautiful or something like that." Like he just restates the same thing back. Like, yeah, fuck it, I'm a pervert. The creator of Dragon's Crown had a big titty witch, and his response was, "I like, yeah, it's that kind of thing. I just like pretty women. I think Japan, you know, they have a stronger, like pervert lobby, I guess. Well, you know, people are willing to stand up.
And I feel like some of this is maybe like, I don't know if they have, I don't know if there's much influence of Western pulp tradition, but other than like the Universal, right? Like universally, you know, there's something cool about the busty babe, you know, with the bikini armor, you know, fainting as the monster grabs her, and you know, Conan the Barbarian type in the background, right?
It's male achievement fantasies. You know, you get the girl and you beat the monster, and
the only twist here is that the beautiful girl is also helping fight the monster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
well, I mean that also figures into, you know, Conan the Barbarian or pulp stuff too. You know, the femme fatale and the dangerous woman. So
yeah. Something I wanted to call attention to at the start of this chapter is Deku's narrating, and is kind of hinting at the future. So like his narration is the thought that we could beat these villains was a grave miscalculation. So we know he's all right, because he's you know, if he's alive to tell the story, he must survive this. But his narration is telling us that they're underestimating the opponent. So Deku's kind of like reflecting on his experiences and, you know, what he can learn about being a hero from them, and kind of warning us that something bad is on the horizon. Here's the map of where everybody is right now, as well as a couple people who are mysteriously missing. Where are they?
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking was this: is this a comic? This one panel. does this constitute a comic? Because
okay, because
it
it's
reminded me
because
of
it's
Family Circus. No,
well, but it's
sorry.
giving you. But you could argue that that panel. That's the question: is this a image of 13 in a poster that's like a fourth wall thing, or is 13 actually stopping in the middle of the fight, transforming into another dimension to describe this map to us, the viewer? It's a mystery.
Why does it remind? There are two fourth wall breakers that I fear in fiction. One is Deadpool, and the other one is Pinkie Pie from MLP.
Oh yeah, Pinkie Pie is pretty brutal with that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I just thought of it as like a fourth wall break. You know, reading through it, you know, you don't even really think about it. You just kind of accept it. It's like, oh, okay, now there's, you know, a big map panel with everybody in it.
I mean, maps are great for. This is great for. Hey, here's a complex situation. We have like 20 characters spread out over multiple locations. So rather than spend 10 pages explaining all that, here's one concrete image, so you have a mental landscape of where everybody is. Basically, I love this kind of stuff. It's something I see a lot in manga, right? Specifically, like, let's slow down and give you a chart to describe everything.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy that kind of stuff too, and again, it reminded me of the Family Circus maps, you know, where Billy's running around, and I've always had like I don't know if it's autism or what, but I've always had a strange fascination with things like that, right?
You want to follow every little detail.
Yeah, the big detailed maps and detailed charts and graphs and things. So
yeah, I've made. Yeah, I think I've posted on in the direct message on Twitter that I made a giant map.
It's Chowder. I'm not familiar with Chowder. You guys know Chowder?
It's a weird Cartoon Network show, I think from like the later 2000s. It's like that little. I think it was one of those series where they did like you do a little pitch, and then they showed all the pitches on Cartoon Network, and the best pitches would be the new cartoon. And Chowder won one of them, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think your brother watched that, Alice, if I remember correctly, but I've never really seen it.
Also, apparently, the creator of Dragon's Crown is also just. I just like pretty women, and that's my answer.
Yeah, you know, I think that's just something with creative men in Japan. They aren't as uptight about
even women like Hiromu Arakawa is a female mangaka, and her famous line is, "I want the guys to be sexy, and I want the women to be va-va-voom," right? And she's just very open about it. That's what I want. That's my artistic vision. Okay, we talked about this earlier. Todoroki is just freezing everybody. Denki, Momo, and Earphone Jack. I don't remember Earphone Jack's girl's Japanese name.
Kyoka.
All right.
Okay.
So, and her power is Earphone Jack. So, Denki has powerful electricity, but it works like real lightning. So again, high school physics. He touches the ground and his lightning goes out and touches everybody. He can't point his lightning at anyone. So Kyoka kicks him to turn him into a human stun gun. He almost gets crushed. I think this made more sense to me actually in the anime than in the manga, because they had they kind of showed this a little bit more clearly. So here you kind of see like the effect coming in from somewhere that shatters the rock before it can hit him in the face. And in the anime, they kind of like zoomed in on Kyoka as she was activating her power. So it made clear that, oh, okay, I get it, that those waves are coming from her. It's her amplified heartbeat, basically. And Momo's power is that she can create anything she understands the molecular structure of, so long as it's not a living thing. So she can make nets, she can literally make anything she imagines, but she's got to have a whole lot of chemistry knowledge of it.
Yeah, I think because at the end of this, he goes back to this part, and he says his initial claim was that she couldn't make anything carbon based. What was that? What it was, or
Yeah,
organic?
so he just apologized. His
She
his
couldn't make
initial
organic,
description
I think.
was she can't make organic things, and he
Yeah,
thought that meant living things, but people took that to mean she can't make organic materials like carbon. But
yeah.
she couldn't have made this, so he had to like apologize and clarify as long as it's not alive, she can make it. Yeah.
Making sure the physics work. So it's kind of like a Star Trek thing, you know. Um,
I'll skip the fan service scene, but okay. Now wait a
no,
second. Did her clothes
well that
tear?
was pretty short, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Did her
they don't
clothes
really
did her
show
clothes tear
anything.
because she used her powers, or did her clothes tear because of all the fighting going on?
I think what happened was she used her clothes as the material, as like the base material
No,
to turn
that's
into the
not
thing.
that's not what happened.
No.
Her it uses the lipids, uh, which are basically, I believe, the fat that she stores in her body.
Oh, so it
So
like
the
uses her
reason
boobs.
why her clothes ripped is because she was making a rather large item,
What,
and
like it
there
has to
wasn't
burst
enough
out of her body or
exposed
something?
skin, and there wasn't enough exposed skin to actually make it
Ah, okay. So
without
yeah,
tearing stuff.
her clothes are ripping, so it's her shirt is falling off the front. Okay. See, there's a logical reason for the fan service. You prudes.
Because it's
If she had her shirt on, none of this would make sense, and the whole comic would be ruined. Well, actually,
yeah,
What
it's
does
kind of
that's a
prudes
great
mean?
artful censorship, by the way. Let's speech balloon as
What does prude
censorable.
mean?
Prude as in prudish,
yeah,
snippy,
it's like the
uptight.
opposite of a pervert.
Yeah.
It's somebody who doesn't like sex very much and doesn't like sexy things and wants to cover stuff up.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
what was
you should have seen Midnight's original hero costume.
Oh gosh. I think I've seen concept art of that. Yeah, and
what was
she's
that
already
like?
pretty risque. Well, but Punchy hasn't met Midnight yet, unless we've just seen her
Have I?
briefly in a background panel or something. Yeah,
I'm not sure. Again, I don't know any of their names except for
yeah.
Deku. So
You'll remember Midnight when you see her.
okay. Wait, which chapter was this?
This is
With the clothes getting
chapter
chopped off. Um,
16.
was it?
I
Yeah. Okay.
can't.
Yeah, it was 16.
Okay.
Because there was a part like earlier. I can't find it right now. But there was a bit that made me. Oh yeah. Okay. It is the part where she's flumping the clothes out because you can see something bulging up in her back, right? When
Yeah.
she starts to make the clothes. And
Yep.
I was thinking it was like a ninja scroll kind of thing. Um, like I don't know if you guys have seen Ninja Scroll, but there's a really horrific villain in that whose power is having like a bunch of bees shooting out of his back, like his back turns into a beehive or something. And I thought that was kind of what she was going for. Like a beehive back or something that fires out different objects. Um, but you're saying that it's just her fat then, right? Like
She's getting
her body fat.
liposuction every time she
Okay.
uses it. Yeah.
Oh, so okay, yeah, and what? Like she just eats a lot to get it back, and then
I
Yeah,
think a
there's
point of
even
that
a
is made. Yeah.
joke made
was that?
later
Yeah.
of
Okay.
it.
Hmm.
There's even a joke made later. I don't know if you guys want to hear it or not.
Yeah. What is it? Go for it.
That, oh, which one was it? Which, I forgot. It was one of the male students.
Mhm.
He said that when he heard about how Momo uses the lipids of her body, he says, "Oh, so it's just like pooping."
That's
That
kind of
sounds like something Denki would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
He sounds like he's got like a scatological fixation. Um, but yeah, the metal mentions Ranma running around topless. I think we touched on that in the last stream.
Well,
Um,
yeah, that's half of the fun. Well, okay, that
yeah,
is
that's
kind of interesting because I feel like we've gotten a little tamer right? Like My Hero Academia, like
Oh, yeah.
I'd call this sort of fan service, but it feels tamer than things I'm used
Yeah.
to. Like Dragon Ball, like I remember, everybody arguing about whether it was evil to read My Hero Academia all over Twitter. And like some of the things Master Roshi would do, he makes Mineta look like a saint, Master Roshi, right? So I don't know, maybe I'm just used to that that even like more aggressively adult tone in 80s gag manga.
Yeah, I mean that's actually something that was going through my head while I was reading this, and that was going to be um, part of my critique of it, I guess. Was the fact that I was expecting My Hero Academia to be a bit more extreme and not as tame as it was. It's kind of like I I don't know, the Goblin Slayer effect is kind of what I call it. But have you guys ever seen Goblin Slayer? Or
I
I think
watched the first episode when it was like the hot topic of the week.
yeah.
I watched it on the Rush Limbaugh YouTube channel. The Rush Limbaugh YouTube channel pirated the first episode of Goblin Slayer for me, so that's where I watched it.
What was it like? Was it like critiquing it, like the death
No,
of Western civilization or something?
it was someone who would pirate Rush Limbaugh episodes, and since they figured I
Oh,
pirate
okay.
Rush Limbaugh episodes, I might as well pirate Goblin Slayer too.
Oh, geez. Okay, I thought you meant like Rush Limbaugh himself had posted Goblin Slayer or something. I was like, that's really weird. Um, but yeah, the thing with Goblin Slayer, because I heard that it was like really controversial and violent and you know like horrible to watch and oh god. So I went and watched it and it just it it was very tame,
But yeah,
right?
okay. I have some thoughts. Like it's kind of like, what is your frame of reference? If your frame of
Yeah,
reference is Berserk,
yeah,
then Goblin
definitely. I
Slayer
mean,
is nothing compared to Berserk.
I mean,
But
this is yeah, that's the problem exactly because it's an issue with the frame of reference because when I was a '90s kid, right? So my introduction to anime and manga were things like Akira and Ninja Scroll and La Blue Girl, um, stuff like that, like the '80s and the '90s animes. And like Goblin Slayer, it didn't strike me as being bad. It seemed fine, right? Like I'm not gonna bash it, but it was a good deal tamer
The
than
Karens of our universe don't know true havoc.
yeah. It's just yeah. I think the constant caroning has been wearing down the machine of fan service and boob zongas and all that good stuff. Um, one of these kind of like turning of the ages things, right?
Mm.
Does that
yeah,
make any sense?
yeah.
Like
It
back
feels
in
like I think it's Gen Z. I think Gen Z. It's
yeah
like kids watching their first anime. Some of this stuff feels really edgy to them from their frame of reference, right? Like
yeah
if anything that's going to be your first exposure to a thing is always going to be your most impactful exposure to a thing. And if it's anime fan service, it's like, oh my gosh, this is the first naked person I've ever seen, right?
yeah.
I
Like
haven't seen
they'll
I haven't
think
seen
it's
Bastard.
really
Okay. Nothing these
nothing
days
these days
tops
top
Bastard,
Bastard.
says the metal. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Bastard is pretty old school. That actually have you seen Bastard yet, Marmaduke?
No, I haven't.
Because they did a remake of Bastard. Like Bastard was an old school manga anime. I think I don't remember if it came out like a year before or a year after JoJo. It's I'll have to look it up, but it is very fan service heavy and very risque, and they did a remake on Netflix recently, and I remember as soon as I heard that they were going to do a remake of Bastard on Netflix, I was like, oh god, this is going to be terrible. Um, but I actually Alice and I actually both watched like the first season or two, and I was surprised because they followed the original fairly faithfully.
Nice.
They had there's a famous scene very early on in Bastard where a princess gets captured and chained up in a pit, and the villain introduces his devious clothes eating slime, which is
Okay.
a slime that eats clothes. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Okay, now how's
Didn't
it
it
now how's
turn
it
yeah.
played?
red?
Is it played like haha, this is goofy, or is it played like this is super serious and
Well,
dramatic?
it's kind of goofy. It's I mean,
It's the in between.
it's in between. Like it's more serious than like a Master Roshi kind of thing. But it's definitely not like I had to keep telling Alice it's not a hentai film. Like trust me.
Do you think Mineta and Master Roshi would get along?
um Possibly, yeah. I mean, I could see him being like a good student for Master Roshi, like going out and grabbing panties or something. But even with that, again, like Mineta, he seems like compared to all the other characters, he's pretty pervy. But you know, compared to like Master Haposai from Ranma Half, for example, he has quite a ways to go. He is a young Padawan learning the ways of a perv, but he still has quite some ways to go.
I mean, a lot of the humor with Mineta is you have to have a dirty mind to know what he's thinking, right? Like it's just him hearing something and his mind goes somewhere, and you either know or you don't know what he's thinking about, right? Right?
Yeah.
Get your mind out of the gutter. So back to the fight.
Yeah.
Shigaraki.
Yeah. One last thing.
Sure.
The medal brings up that it was a parody. Bastard was a parody when it came out, and that's a good take on it. I think. It's sort of like Lobo in the '90s, right? Like it was very extreme and very over the top, but it's done in like a fun kind of funny way, right? Like it's not really grimdark in the way like Berserk is grimdark, right? Like Berserk is very serious, but Bastard kind of, you know, it's the hair metal anime. It's
Yeah.
very fun.
I like how the way that Metal puts it. It takes its plot seriously, but it is
Yeah.
poking. It is poking fun. So it's like the
Yeah,
seriousness. It's like melodrama. Melodrama. The humor of melodrama comes from the seriousness that the characters treat this cliche situation. He's tying her up to the railroad tracks.
yeah, he's menacing her with a clothes eating slime. Oh no, you know, here comes the hero to save the day. Oh, and one last thing too. Like, if any of you guys are into heavy metal, you definitely have to see Bastard or read the manga or something, because it's rife with music puns.
Nice.
It's sort of like JoJo, but
It uses metal songs as spells.
yeah, like
Cool.
they use characters and spells and just all kinds of things are references to classic thrash metal and you know, like King Diamond, Megadeth, Metallica, Guns N' Roses makes several appearances. So if you enjoy heavy metal music, like classic '80s and '90s heavy metal, definitely check it out.
Nice. I do want to get into some older school stuff. I started the first couple episodes of Slayers, I think. And,
Okay,
loved
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I remember that. I didn't see much of Slayers, but that does have a lot of fan service, if I remember correctly.
Oh, all right. Mine didn't have the first couple episodes I watched didn't
think-
have that much. They always hit you with it. You're never expecting it.
Let me
All
see.
right.
I'm not, yeah. All right. Yeah. My Hero Academia. That is a thing that exists.
Yeah. All right. So Shigaraki sees through Eraserhead's weakness, and we learn that Shigaraki can disintegrate anything he touches.
Decay. Turn things into dust.
Nice. Nomu sneaks up from behind. Shigaraki's line is, "I'm not the boss here. Nomu's the top dog," and everything starts falling apart. 13, who has a powerful quirk but is primarily a rescue hero, gets tricked by Kurogiri, who uses a warp so that 13's black hole power, he basically puts a warp behind her, so she sucks herself into her own black hole. And I like how Uraraka is, we see how distressed she is by this, because we've established that Uraraka really admires 13, so this is like her number one hero.
Yeah, because they're both space themed.
Yeah. Ida,
zero gravity and black hole.
Exactly, relation of type to type. Ida makes a run for it, and they see that Eraserhead is
basically beaten to
yeah. He's in trouble there. That
now he knows how Deku feels.
Yeah, that was kind of reminding me of again with One Punch Man, and specifically Zombie Man, because have you got to Zombie Man yet, Marmaduke?
No.
One Punch Man, because he's one of the top heroes. He's like the S tier superhero, but his special power is the special power to be a Guro jobber, basically. Like he can reconstitute his body and come back to life. So every fight he gets in is basically like.
And that reminds me of me of two of my own characters.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Eraserhead actually has that enhanced superheroing, does he? Because
no,
one of the monsters does. No, the big monster has superheroing, but he's just screwed. So
regeneration.
Yeah.
I think it comes up later, but I think Eraserhead's the one who figures out that Nomu doesn't have the superpower of strength because he can't cancel it. Nomu has
he's
base
just
strength.
naturally jacked. He has been working out and going on alt-right message boards and
lifting. All right. Well, speaking of One Punch Man, we do have this vibe where Nomu's an engineered monstrosity, and then the diligent, if All Might's a One Punch Man, Nomu's sort of like whatever, like the evolution society was working on. We're going to bioengineer evolutionary monstrosities to fight our heroes with.
Yeah, it's basically Donald Trump versus the living embodiment of COVID, basically.
Sure, or the swamp.
Yeah.
Here's the author's apology for screwing up the difference between organic matter and living things.
Organic matter is just matter with carbon in it.
And I like I really like his thoughts on the powers. Like originally he was going to give this quirk to a pro hero, but then he realized it'd be cool to give an ability that powerful to a younger person. So you have like inexperienced person contrasted with OP superpower. That's cool. I like the thought he puts into everything.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, because a more experienced superhero with an OP power like that, right? It would make the encounters kind of boring because they could just make exactly the right tool for exactly the right situation in a matter of seconds. Whereas if she's inexperienced, she might not realize what she can do, and then you got the tension of, oh god, what's going on? Aha, I just figured it out.
There is some cool stuff with Momo, the creation girl that crops up. I think in season 2, she has a moment of kind of doubt and self reflection about it. One of the things that's been set up about her is she's like a straight A, top of the class kid, and she got in on recommendations. So she's gotten it. She's kind of like gotten in with really high expectations of herself, gunner, super gunner type. And now she's kind of like on the same playing field as a lot of like regular Joes like Deku, right? So you can tell she puts a lot of pressure on herself.
Yeah, I mean she's always come off like that, even before we were aware of her powers. But is that this is going to be on my mind for a while now? I'm sorry, but her whole costume thing, does her clothes like do they always explode when she has to make things, or is there a way that she can make things without ripping her clothes off?
That might be a question for Alice. I've only seen Momo in action a couple times.
should she just run around naked or what?
Or costume quirk solution, right? Like a costume that allows, I don't know, projectiles to exit, and then this cloth seals around itself, or something.
Yeah.
I feel like there's actually a whole thing coming up later where and at hero engineers is a whole profession, right? Like engineering unique solutions for every superhero hero's power.
Support
Okay.
items.
Yep, support items. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they brought that up earlier too, like when they were first getting their costumes, like hero engineering stuff.
Yep.
Like she can just make new. Oh yeah, actually that is a good point. She could just make her own clothes after her clothes get ripped off. But
Yes.
it does seem like a waste of fat and clothing though, like for
Probably as
to
a
keep
last
carrying on
resort.
the clothes.
Yeah.
All right.
If she's had a big meal, maybe that's
Just
I wonder if that's efficient. Is it more economically efficient to buy clothes or to eat lunch and make clothes?
yeah, I don't know. We'd have to
That
send
does come
emails.
up in that actually does come up in a later chapter.
All right. Yeah, see, I mean, I like how he admitted that he's a perv earlier on, and then he's got like the sort of thing that a perv would be worried about is, you know, like ripping the clothes off his superheroine. It's kind of like you guys ever played Metal Gear?
I did at one point, but it was one of the old ones. I can't remember.
I played a few minutes of it.
Okay. Oh, all right. I mean, do you follow like Hideo Kojima or anything?
I do follow
like that,
Hideo
any of that
Kojima,
kind of-
yeah.
because he's kind of a notorious perv as well. And in Metal Gear, what was it, 5 or something? The last good Metal Gear before they kicked Kojima out. There was a very famous character called Quiet the Sniper. Do you guys are you familiar
Wasn't there
with
a
Quiet
part
the Sniper?
where he has to strip down to his underwear and be completely invisible?
Oh yeah, that happens in a lot. Especially like the male characters, like they strip down to their underwear. But Quiet the Sniper was a girl who ran around. She was like an expert sniper who runs around in a bikini all the time. You know, fighting in the bikini and doing all these kinds of bikini things. And you know, of course, it's fan service, and you know the Karens complain about it. But the interesting part about Quiet the Sniper is they actually put a lot of thought into the science and the physics behind why she runs around wearing basically no clothes.
Yeah, she has some kind of like photosynthesis power, right?
Yeah, she's because most of the heroes and villains in Metal Gear have some kind of mutant quirk to them, and Quiet's mutant quirk happens to be she's like part plant, and her skin is how she breathes basically. So if she covers up, if she puts like a shirt on or something, she'll start asphyxiating.
Yeah.
So she's
I
good
remember that. I remember that going around in a meme during like Gamergate back in 2014. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big thing, right around the time the Karens started coming for video games. And the funny thing about Quiet was that she needed to have no clothes. Like they planned it out. And if you drew fan art of Quiet, you know, you're wearing full pants or something, you're basically killing her. So please don't do that.
Yep.
So yeah,
but Karens don't understand that.
Yeah, it's the big brain
that requires playing a video game. Well, it's like that meme going around today. Hey, video gamers, why didn't you tell us that video games have great stories? I thought you were just playing Mario Kart. Oh no, we've been telling you the whole time. Oh no.
Wait, that's a meme now? That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's a meme now. Why didn't anybody tell me video games aren't just Mario Kart?
Jesus. Well, actually, I mean, we're getting kind of far afield now, but just for the record, I sort of prefer video games that are more like Mario Kart in terms of story. I think when games start focusing on story, most of the time it's to the detriment of the game.
I think it varies. For me, it's sort of like story can help a game but story can't replace a game. Like if the
Yeah.
story of the game is engaging me, it's drawing me into the game's world, but then I actually have to enjoy the game's world too. So anyway,
Yeah, that's
I'm a 30-year-old Nintendo boomer. So bunch of mooks. So Kachan and Kirishima. I like this. We're building up the theme that these are kind of like two dudes who have the same vibe. Bakugo is a guy who has a hard time making friends. So it's sort of like he needs somebody who's on that wavelength of Alpha Chad beat everything up energy, but Kirishima's a little bit more easygoing than Kachan is. And I like how Kachan keeps his head cool in the middle of the fight, and Kirishima sort of notices that, oh, okay, he actually does have a head on his shoulders. He's not just one note, angry, crazy dude all the time. Ida makes his dash for the door, and Uraraka notices that Kurogiri has weird neck armor. Why does he have weird neck armor? There must be a person under there. So she grabs it and uses her gravity power to throw it in the air. So previously, she kind of like lost her head in her test fight where they were doing the mock battles. Here, she keeps her head and actually kind of like makes a smart observation and contributes. And Cellophane Tape Man even gets his little moment in the sun to body slam the villain. And Ida gets out.
Huzzah. I mean, he does take quite a while to get out, though. I mean, for a guy that's supposed to be like the best runner in the team, it takes him like 3 episodes to get out.
Yeah, you're right. And I wonder how much of that is, I don't know, time. We're jumping back and forth in time to different locations, and the anime rule, 5 minutes is 30 episodes, right?
Yeah. How was it in the? Does the anime kind of address that, or?
In the anime, I think the pacing issue still comes up. I interpret it as events are going on simultaneously, so they're not necessarily happening in real time. We're rewinding 10 minutes, seeing what happens here, rewinding 10 minutes, see what happens over here, rewinding 10 minutes, and now he's making his dash forward. That's how I interpreted it. And then I'm assuming Kurogiri can teleport instantaneously. So part of what's slowing it down is it's kind of like this is symbolically the mental moment of Ida realizing, oh no, I can't get past him, and then everything happens all at once. So our perception of time is slowing down because of the adrenaline rush of the moment. So him making it out the door feels like an adrenaline relief, basically.
Yeah, that's probably the most likely thing. What happened to Alice?
She's back.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
You all right?
Yeah, sorry. I just got
Okay.
connected.
Yeah, Metal says. Actually, that is incorrect. The Metal. Kojima does admit it. He definitely admits that he wants sexy women. But yeah, the end was also a photosynthetic guy. But unlike Quiet, he had plants and moss and stuff growing from outside of his body. She has skin that's become like a plant. So slightly different.
I wonder if anyone has drawn a comedy. I wonder if anyone has actually drawn a fan comic of putting clothes on her because a Karen keeps yelling at her.
I'm sure it's been done, because that was like a major meme back in the day. And they actually torture her by throwing stuff on her skin at one point in the game. There's some very harrowing scenes of
Kojima's another kind of interesting case of someone who's weird but throws a lot of weirdness into something to make it feel kind of serious and kind of creative. Like the tone of Metal Gear is very much like, straight military, we got to save the world, tactical communications, but then there's just this odd element on top of it where things are just a little bizarre, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like magical realism or something, or maybe magical surrealism. Because yeah, he does, like, he tries to play it like a straight military drama, but then you've got like um super armies of, robot soldiers in in the middle of the Pacific, and
And didn't he
dudes
also
with
make it
transferring
so
armor
that you
faces.
had to like remove the the memory card thing?
Oh yeah, well that's something else that Kojima's really well known for. Is breaking the fourth wall and like fucking with your expectations and your expectations of a player. Um, the I think what you might be thinking of is there's a famous fight against the guy called Psycho Mantis in the first Metal Gear Solid, where he's reading your mind, and he knows your every move. So every input you do right on your controller, he's basically able to counter you instantaneously. And he's a really tough boss. And eventually, you figure out from like what he's saying and from phone calls that you're getting from your friends that. The way to stop him from reading your mind is to take the controller out of port 1 and stick it into port 2, and then he can't read your mind anymore and you can beat him. So it's weird little strategies like that, that he likes to pepper around in
Yeah.
his game. But he's definitely fourth wall breaking. um
I
there,
kind of
there,
see that as like that's something a creative person does because they're working in a medium, and when you play with a medium, you want to break the fourth wall because that's sort of like, what are the limits of this medium? You know, what can I
yeah,
do with it that I can't do with other things, right?
yeah, he really likes doing that kind of stuff. And some people get, um it's controversial a little bit, because some people just get fed up with him after a while doing stuff like that. Other people like it. There was actually one really funny anecdote I can relay. My friend Tom and I, back when we were kids, we were playing through, I think it was like Metal Gear 3 or something, and it was like 1 in the morning, so we were all really tired. And there's a part where one of the villains comes on your communications port, and he says, "You've been playing this game for quite a while. Isn't it time to just turn it off?" and and Tom thought it was another one of those mind tricks like Psycho Mantis did. So he just reached over and turned off his game system, thinking it would allow him to continue.
And it
and
didn't.
yeah, and of course he just got bumped back to his last
Ah,
save mode because he turned off the old system. But um, yeah, he really he goes even further than My Hero Academia, as far as like breaking the fourth wall and playing with tropes. But yeah, there are a lot of creators that like doing that,
yeah,
and Kojima is he's probably the most famous, if not the best one for that kind of stuff. But
very cool.
um,
Speaking of breaking things,
My Hero, okay.
so uh, here's something cool I thought of. So Eraserhead's in trouble. He's completely overpowered by Nomu. Deku was talking about maybe jumping into battle, and this is kind of like a clever use of fan service, I think, for a deliberate point. So we get a goofy fan service moment. Mineta goes for it, and his hug turns into a grope. So Shuyu starts drowning him to teach him a lesson. So haha, silly scene. And then we instantly transfer to Shigaraki, the serial killer, coming in for a kill and very nearly killing Sue. The only thing that saves her is Eraserhead making a last ditch effort. So I don't know. This is a really good panel. It kind of sells the idea that she's within like within an inch of death, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually getting really worried at this whole part. I'm like, oh crap, are they going to kill both of them? No. Um, so kudos to the author for making me think that characters who clearly haven't died, um, do actually get all dead
I
in
think
this
there are
film.
some deaths later in this series.
Oh
Yeah.
god,
So
spoiler.
I don't. There are deaths, but I don't know who the deaths are going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do know from like seeing other stuff that, Frog Girl at least survives all this. So, but even with that knowledge, yeah, I did get the tension, and I did get the sense of urgency and danger.
Yeah. And something cool about Deku's character in the midst of this is his narration has kind of made the point that he wasn't as prepared as he thought he was for the situation. So he gets in a smash and he realizes that he didn't break his arm, which means he actually controlled the power for once, but he punched Nomu. So at his absolute best, when he actually does have everything together, he still can't land a dent on this guy. Oh, great. And he's also realizing that he's inherited the power of All Might, meaning the power of All Might, whatever the nature of the superpower is, all by itself. That's not enough for whatever Nomu is. It's been built to kill All Might, and kind of like with perfect timing, All Might arrives in a nice big two-page spread.
Yeah, he was very specifically built to kill All Might too, right?
Yep.
Like it wasn't just he's designed as a counter weapon for All Might specifically. So what will happen? And then Donald Trump shows up.
I can definitely see why Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini wanted to tap into this for My Hero Academia. Like even him wearing the suit around is like a big yellow suit. Trump's literally done that on Saturday Night Live. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's that's kind of the essence of Americanism. You know, that's the
big guy, big suit, big hair. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, everyone's larger than life, loud and larger than life. You know, also Homelander too. Like Homelander taps into the same kind of energy in The Boys, but you know, The Boys doesn't really like that kind of character. So Homelander winds up being a villain.
He's a deconstruction of the American character. Every week I find myself thinking, if I don't do my best, I'm going to die. It's pretty thrilling. I feel that.
I mean, one thing I'd wonder is if is Homelander the deconstruction, or is All Might the deconstruction? Because I mean, at this point, you know, I think most American creatives have a very dim view of Americanism, right? So maybe All Might is in fact the deconstruction of the anti-Americanism that American creators have.
Because he's a positive American symbol.
Yeah,
he's America viewed through a non-American's eyes, so he can see the positive. He can see the positive aspects of the American personality. Yeah,
it's a foreign perspective on, like an outside perspective on the American personality, and he's finding the strengths of the American personality when most Americans, right? You know, the actual Americans tend to have a very defeatist and miserable view of the American.
I think that Toshinori is supposed to be maybe like biracial. Like he's either like American-born Japanese or a Japanese-born American, right? So he does have he is kind of a man of two worlds. His high school experience was a Japanese high school experience. His superhero career is a very American superhero career. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find MHA and The Boys two sides of the same coin. Yeah, kind of. I mean, there are obviously differences, but yeah, I could say that. You two haven't seen The Boys or read The Boys, though, right?
I haven't. It just looked cynical to me, and I'm kind of up to my neck in cynicism. So I've seen lots of memes about could Homelander beat X, and everybody always beats Homelander in whatever fight they pick. Like, could Homelander beat Kirby? No, Kirby trounces Homelander. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, Homelander is, you know, a very famous villain at this point, but I actually think Homelander would win against Kirby. He could definitely beat Kirby, but yeah,
well, Kirby is kind of like a god in his universe, of some kind, whatever a Star Child is.
I don't know much about the Kirby lore, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a rabbit hole. That is a great rabbit hole, Kirby lore. Wow.
Let's discuss Kirby lore, too.
Yeah. The Dark Souls lore, cute looking SpongeBob, Kirby lore, unholy abomination. All right. So I like this title page because it has nothing to do with the plot. even Horikoshi's making fun of himself. There's no time to be drawing
Is
mixed up junk like this.
is that based on Final Fantasy?
Because
Is that like a mecha
Because
chocobo?
chocobo-ish.
Yeah, because they've had like mecha chocobo kind of things as well. I think Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, the Magitech armor from Final Fantasy VI there on the cover. The metal notices it too.
Ah, okay.
Um,
It's just a Magitech armor from Final Fantasy VI there on the. I didn't know that. All right, cool beans.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day. All right. Well, maybe Deku's a fan. Maybe Deku as a nerd plays Final Fantasy.
I'm
games.
sure they all play Final Fantasy. Well, actually, when was is Deku like a Zoomer then? Like when was he born? Is that
I'm not sure.
established?
Okay, I think it's supposed to be slightly in the future though, because they're a few generations after superpowers appear. So whenever superpowers appear in our world, Deku's a couple. I think he's a 4th generation hero. So his great grandparent would have been in the 1st generation
Okay.
of
So
heroes.
it's like further into the 2000s then.
Yeah.
All right. So why? I mean, I guess with the superpowers, they wouldn't really need super high tech anymore. But shouldn't they have like flying cars or something, or like robot AI?
Actually, that is
overlords?
touched upon later.
Yeah. What winds up happening
That
with technology?
That if
then?
quarks didn't appear, they would probably be in the space age right at their current time.
Okay. And so what? Like quirks like stop people from caring about going into outer space, or
You can have someone who specializes doing the job with their hands because they can make space lasers with their hands, and we don't need scientists to actually build ways of making space lasers.
No, actually, it was more of a like a uprising against basically as soon as quarks appeared, the villains started to appear, and then started civil wars that brought back down everything.
Oh, okay. So there's some kind of like a societal collapse because of quirks then?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, well, I mean that could kind of get into the boys too, because they
Huh?
that could kind of get into the boys too, because there's elements of that in the boys as well.
Here's our Sans Blue Eye for Alice Snow. The bad guys are going to have a bad time because Daddy is home and Daddy is mad.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Undertale or Delta.
Okay, that's just for me. That's just for me, Alice Snow, and all of the Undertale
and
fans.
Literally everybody else in the world.
All these years, yeah.
Every other human being, especially nerds in the world, knows all that.
All right, so when All Might arrives, we kind of like get a moment to underscore how like everybody is relieved. To all of these kids, All Might he's literally the symbol of peace. He's the ideal of what a hero is. But Deku kind of is the only one who knows that All Might must be running on fumes, and All Might's about to fight a guy who is equipped to kill him. There's kind of like this great running gag where Deku isn't that great at keeping secret identities and secrets. Like he'll keep almost blurting out something important and then stopping himself and kind of amending what he says. So I think he says, I hit him without breaking my arm, and that didn't do anything, as his way of communicating that the one for all, not even the one for all, could stop this guy.
Yeah.
Shigaraki kind of gives like a big evil speech. And there's actually kind of like a fun subversion where at first it sounds like he's saying, the society is based on violence. There's no difference between hero and villain. And All Might just kind of like calls bullshit on him. You're not an idealist. You're just here to have fun.
Yeah. I mean, this section specifically, I didn't read in the manga. I was watching the anime, and I assume that the speech is more or less the same, right?
It was roughly the same. Did you do the Japanese sub or the English dub?
The copy that I purchased at full price from Funimation.
At Walmart.
Approved. Yeah, at Walmart. The only one I could find was a sub or a
Okay.
dub, unfortunately. So
Okay.
I had to watch the dubbed version. But
All right. I
the dubbed
remember.
version,
I remember when I watched the dub. It was the same point, just maybe
more or less the same.
worded slightly different. Yeah. It's either him complaining about state-sponsored violence in the
Yeah.
manga, or him just saying that the line between hero and villain is arbitrary, right?
Yeah, well, I actually because I got kind of a little bit of both of those two vibes out of the speech. I'd have to go back and pull it up. Do you remember which page of the manga it was?
I'm on page
Um,
11 of chapter
Page
18.
11 of chapter 18.
And I think he gives a couple different speeches at a couple different points too. He basically
Okay.
repeats his argument later.
Yeah, he basically just gets a whole big argument. I think it's longer than this in the anime version, but I actually agreed with him. I thought he was making some good points, and it may be the case that he's violent just because he likes being violent. I'm sure All Might is correct. Like, you know, a guy with a creepy face like that certainly.
Well, I think
certainly must be
Shigaraki.
some
I think
kind of-
Shigaraki owns up to it. Like, haha,
Yeah.
you saw through me. So this is like serial killer who maybe likes giving the speech to get in his opponent's head, but he's just here to have fun. Now, there may be there is some kind of like more stuff with Shigaraki coming up where I'll go ahead and spoil this, but they're kind of setting up that Shigaraki is sort of like the anti-Deku, where he has a really perverse relationship with the big bad guy, where the big bad guy is almost like a father figure to him. So if All Might is basically a surrogate father figure to Deku, Shigaraki is attaching all of his, sentiment to Mr. Mysterious bad guy, who we'll see more of later.
So he's the anti-Deku.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I liked his speech. I thought he was right, to be honest.
Well, and this could be Horikoshi kind of like introducing his theme, right? Because if one of his themes is to question, is this a moral is it moral for the superheroes to be this regulated and basically just be state agents? You could have a Shigaraki who, is evil, but maybe he offers a perspective that it's like his perspective isn't entirely evil, even if Shigaraki is evil. Like maybe there should be a question about, whether superheroes should just work for the government, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there should be like super forces outside of government.
Yeah,
control.
I think Marvel did something with that.
So Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Civil War.
You should have joined one of our Civil War debates.
Oh. Civil War was all about that specifically. But I think the difference with Civil War was that Civil War was very specifically superheroes fighting other superheroes, like good guys and good guys. Whereas this is, a villain versus a good guy. So you kind of you're primed to side with the good guys' side because they're good guys and they're not creepy villains with, floaty hands on their face trying to kill poor frog girl. But one of the things that I was thinking with that was, again, with One Punch Man and the villain Garu, which I don't believe you've got to Garu yet, have you, Mark?
No, just episode 12. Whatever the alien guy was who traveled to Earth because someone told him like his strongest opponent would be. So it was sort of like he was the mirror image of One Punch Man. So it was setting up
the big alien guy. Yeah, that's I think Garu's like the next arc after that, but Garu winds up being one of the major supervillains and antagonists in the One Punch Man universe. And I don't know. What do you want spoilers or?
Go ahead. You can spoil some One Punch Man for me. I'm a spoiler enjoyer.
All right. Well, because the interesting thing about Garu is as it goes along, right? Like he starts out as a superhero killer, right? Like his whole thing is that he hunts down superheroes and tries to defeat superheroes and does all these things against superheroes. And why does he hate superheroes so much?
That
And
reminds me of the arc after the school fair arc in My Hero.
yeah,
They have
Ooh,
a
okay.
character
What
Okay.
named
season does
Stain.
that? What do you remember? What season that connects to?
I think it's season 2.
Okay.
Do they go into detail about why the villains are going after the superheroes in
Yeah,
that arc, or
yeah.
what, like I don't mind spoilers either. What is the thing with the villains in that one?
Stain
Do you,
believes that all the other heroes except All Might are not true heroes. He thinks
mm,
that they are just puppets of the government, and so he wants to kill every so-called hero
oh,
he
okay,
can.
so like an anarchist kind of
Yeah,
villain or something. Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. With Garu though, they have some backstory to him later on. You know, after he gets established and you start hating him, um, and it turns out that when he was a little kid, he used to get bullied a lot, and he'd watch these superhero like Power Rangers type TV shows, right, where the superheroes are fighting the monsters. And in every episode, the monsters always get beat up, and he feels bad for the monsters, getting bullied and getting pushed around by these superheroes. So he decides to dedicate himself to defeating bullies like the superheroes, and it's this weird kind of thing where he's got this noble aspiration, right? Like this heroic aspiration to rid the world of bullies. He just happens to be siding with the monsters rather than with human beings. Uh, so it's an interesting character when you start diving into him and his psychology.
The outsider who is kind of cynical of the entire system. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an outsider and he's cynical of the system, but he's not like a nihilist or anything, right? He does have a strong moral compass, and he's even got like a good moral compass because he wants to fight for the oppressed and help the bullied overcome their bullies. It just so happens that instead of like being a normal person and thinking that monsters are evil and we should kill the monsters, he thinks the monsters are good and we should kill the human beings and, and the superheroes. So he's like a woke Marxist or something.
Okay, I have a thought about All Might and his relation to, I guess, Shigaraki over, is the system evil argument. So I guess one interesting thing about All Might is we've kind of seen that his weakness is that he needs to be the perfect superhero. So it's kind of like All Might. At one time, on one hand, he kind of represents the system of being a good superhero means doing what good superheroes do at the most basic level, right? But All Might has actually kind of pushed Deku a little bit in his training. Part of the trash cleanup, the part of the point of the trash cleanup was I want you doing civic service, not to get famous, right? So All Might is also a little cynical of the way superhero society is going. Like I don't think All Might is happy about the reality TV aspect of superheroing. So All Might's simultaneously cynical about the state of the world while also literally being a critical symbol of law and order within the world. So it's almost like Shigaraki is having if Shigaraki wasn't a violent terrorist, he could have this argument with a guy like All Might, but because he's chosen to go after the kids, Daddy's got to get out his belt and punish these villains.
Yeah, I think that's
Daddy's
fair.
going to get out the belt.
I think
the leather belt.
These two guys could be friends if it weren't for the fact that the monster is like a sadistic supervillain who just wants to kill little kids.
Well, I guess this is kind of a spoiler. I had it spoiled for me, but clips are going around YouTube now of the most recent stuff, And I guess I'll say that I think Deku. Uh, I'll say that Deku definitely deals directly with that problem, right?
Yeah.
From what I can tell about the later seasons, like Deku's arc is going to be about uh, challenging whether he should be part of the traditional superhero world or not to some degree. So I'm sort of my anticipation or the buildup is, yeah, I see these themes and I see these questions, and I don't know, I sort of see it as like promising that Horikoshi's going to go there, right? Like we don't necessarily have to assume that just because the superhero world is the way it is, that necessarily means it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's probably the main theme throughout all of these sort of postmodern deconstructionist comics too. Again, My Hero, One Punch Man, The Boys, maybe Kick Ass to a lesser degree. Um, it's questioning the superhero world and probing different ways in which we might be able to make the superhero world a little bit better. Um,
I
took
thought
the
this
hit
was
for the
not,
kid.
I thought this was nicely explained in the
Yeah.
manga. So it happens really quick, so quick that people can't tell what happened, and so then the villain, of course, says, "Ah, I see what happened. He took the hit for the kid." So like, it shows that the villain's really smart and observant, and it kind of helps us piece together what happened, because the whole point is All Might's so fast nobody can keep up with him, even the eye can't keep up with how fast they're moving. Uh, when All Might, basically he tells the kids get out of here. He even has the great line where he says, "Thanks for your help, kid. Now get out of here." So All Might puts this weight on himself. I am the symbol of peace. That's the sentence that he screams at himself in his head before throwing himself into battle. And what's weird is it's toxic, but it's also kind of useful. Like on the one hand, he's putting all this weight on himself and killing himself, basically.
Yeah.
But he is the guy you need to take out Shigaraki's and Nomu's, because he has all of this raw force of will that he throws at
Yeah,
them.
but later on it actually shows that he's not the only one, because they bring in Endeavor too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's cool about Endeavor is he's been the number 2 guy for a long time. So there's this one-sided rivalry where Endeavor really resents All Might, and All Might doesn't kind
It's
of
unhealthy.
yeah.
It's unhealthy
Wait,
for him. It's unhealthy for his family. It's unhealthy for anyone who gets in between him and All Might.
Yeah.
Wait, which one was Endeavor?
I don't think we've
The
seen
Flame Hero.
We might have only seen. Okay, I don't know where we saw him. They talked about the best heroes in the world, and they showed one panel of like Endeavor
Okay.
and Endeavor was the guy who's actually stopped the most number of crimes in the world. So he's actually passed
Why
All
is he
Might on a
number
couple.
2?
I think it's because of All Might's. I don't know. Maybe it might be All Might's personality, like All Might as the reassuring guy. Maybe Endeavor is good for taking out the mafia, but All Might's the guy you want showing up to, carry 1,000 people out of a collapsed building, right? So All Might has the Superman quality, and Endeavor doesn't quite have the Superman, reassuring
I
quality.
believe the ranking is based on number of tasks that were completed, and also how likable they are to the public.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's getting back to that theme of like superheroes as an idol group, as like a Japanese idol group. Getting ranked based on their popularity and having like fan polls and all these other things going into their rating and their ranking.
Uh-huh.
Which All Might
So
is
the only
suspicious
reason
of.
why All Might beats Endeavor in that sense is because Endeavor doesn't know how to be reassuring or anything. So his public image isn't the best.
So they downranked him. Yeah, I mean, I would be kind of pissed if I got second place and I'd actually saved more people than the first place too. So I can see where he's coming from on that. But I guess we'll have to wait.
I know a lot of people got triggered because Endeavor gets a redemption arc, and they don't think that someone as
right.
bad as Endeavor doesn't deserve a redemption arc. So that was a whole thing for a while.
Are you
Yeah.
serious? I thought
Oh,
it
I
was
saw.
pretty good because because he goes from abusive father to helicopter parent,
Well,
and it's
is a helicopter?
Is that a good
Yeah,
arc?
is that a
Though?
good thing though? Um, I
well,
mean, I
Shoto's
guess.
going to figure it out. And
Yeah,
everyone else too.
I can't make a call on that because I haven't seen him yet. But I'll keep an open mind going into Endeavor.
You'll see
I've seen
him,
it.
I believe, in the next arc, which
Yes,
is the school festival one.
Okay.
yeah, the not Olympics, right? What do they call it?
Now, the school festivals have basically the superhero school festivals have basically knocked the Olympics out of the running.
Yeah. That was another thing where I like read that and I thought, oh great, that's what I wanted to do for Jane Smith, Wannabe Gladiator. Why am I so late to the game? Everybody's beating me. All right.
What,
Something
like
cool
knocking the
about
Olympics
But not
out?
only
Or...
that, but they also reveal another thing about Hero Society, that
the
during these festivals, the sports festivals, that they are supposed to the students are to do their best because
Mhm.
they are getting scouted for future
Oh,
jobs as to be apprentices
yeah.
for an
So it's like the
internship.
like junior idol competitions or something.
the kids, yeah, have this performative element to what they're doing too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean that gets into like the whole very Japanese lifestyle, right? Like the strict corporate lifestyle where you've really got to excel and you've really got to push yourself because when you're in school you're constantly being tested and you're being scoped out to see if you can get into a great college, and then when you're in the college you got to excel so you can be scoped out and get into the great corporation, and then in the corporation you've got
Oh,
to push yourself and excel.
looks like
So,
Marshmallow just pissed off one of his bigger brothers.
oh no, okay, well, Martin isn't getting in there, right?
No,
Okay, good. Sorry, chicken drama, behind the
Ah,
scenes chicken drama. Marshmallow is one of her new chickens.
it's a
Um,
silky chicken.
oh god, you actually got a silky?
Two of
Oh,
them.
okay. All right. Well, just don't forget, like your mom doesn't want her running around the house, and because they'll be pooping everywhere. Um, but yeah, I was gonna say just in relation to what you brought up a couple minutes ago, Marm, being late to the party. I wouldn't mind so much. It's that kind of Simpsons did it thing,
yeah.
right? Because even here in like My Hero with all the commentary on the superhero structure and the superhero lifestyle, the government regulations, like
Oh my God, I just
gets done in
remembered
One Punch
something.
Man.
There's a future OVA that that shows the what baseball has become and superheroes using their
Oh, in
powers
this
during
thing.
baseballs.
Like baseball's all, yeah. So I mean if you want to do something like that too in your comic, it's, it doesn't matter. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's something that it's a major theme that comes up time and time again.
Because the other
So
side of it is you could feel bad because someone thought of it first, or you could feel good because great minds think alike.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure somebody
Yeah,
thought of
just
it
because
first,
someone
but it
comes up with the same thing doesn't mean that they're copying someone else.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, so
It's
many
because
people come
either
up
it
with it.
was inspiration, it could either come from inspiration or just a random chance of someone thinking something up.
Yeah, it's just these ideas are floating around, and a lot of people are having these ideas, simultaneously, and like the first person to have thought of this, I can almost guarantee you has never made a comic book in their life, and they just sort of lived out in obscurity. So,
Yeah.
um, just go for it. Just
All right.
just do your own version of My
Speaking
Hero.
of classic tropes from anime, I gotta give My Hero Academia credit. This is the first time I've ever seen someone do a flurry of 100
The
punches
Goku
really
fight.
fast, and it works. It defeats the bad guy.
Yeah,
He,
well,
well, Deku even kind of like he's surprised at first because he just thinks a head-on assault, and what they told him is Nomu has shock absorption.
Shock absorption.
And All Might says, well, he has. You said it's shock absorption, not shock negation, which means there's a limit. So he's literally doing the Goku overpower him with blunt force thing. But Deku
Blunt
makes
force trauma.
Yep. Deku observes that he's not punching wildly; he's punching with precision. I wish they kind of showed it. It's basically Deku. We got to take Deku's word for it. So All Might's punching with precision. Yeah. In the manga, it ends with kind of like a flurry of punches and then one super duper punch that knocks Nomu out. I recommended that we watch the anime because there's a pretty cool little, I guess, judo, professional wrestling throw that All Might does before his super punch, and I really liked how they animated this sequence in the anime.
Okay, because this was the controversial bit for me. But what part of the do you remember, like a timestamp or something? Because you guys had said that it was like a meme fight or something, right?
Yeah,
like everybody loved it.
It showed up in a lot of like Zoomers would make top 10 anime battles of all time, and 5 of them would be from My Hero Academia, which was why it was so funny. Is like that's like the one of the 2 animes they've watched and they're making top 10 lists. So
okay, maybe I'll try like top My Hero fights or something, because I watched the anime version of that thing, right? Like at episode 12 or 13 or whatever it was.
I'm pretty sure. Do you remember him punching him through the ceiling and then punching
I
him
remember.
Yeah,
I remember the whole Goku fight and him like punching him, and they're talking about like the power levels and stuff. And I was like, this is just one small snippet of Dragon Ball Z, and I kind of tuned out. So again, this is probably one of those frame of reference things, like we were talking about earlier. I wasn't particularly impressed with the fight. It wasn't a bad fight, right? Like, I'm not saying it's crap or anything. Not going to badmouth it, but I didn't think it was anything special. And if I didn't know it was supposed to be a meme, I wouldn't be like, oh god, this is meme worthy, right?
I actually think the anime improves on the manga a little bit. The manga feels like he punched him really hard, even though that's kind of the point, right? Like, All Might's whole power is that he has really strong punches and he's forcing himself to go when he's tired.
He's the punch man. He's punchy Sonichu.
The anime kind of made it look like he used some judo techniques to add a bit more finesse to it before the one big super punch. And I think the detail of Nomu going through the clouds was also just in the anime, which added this extra bit of scale to it. Like, wow, he went through the ceiling. Wow, he went through the clouds.
He went several football fields away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see him going through the clouds in this. Oh, they even did like the Team Rocket star in the anime, I think, and I love that. I love Team Rocket stars.
Yeah,
like straight out of the comics. He likes that line.
Do you know what the fight would be called or where?
Probably All Might versus
USJ fight.
USJ, yeah, because I'm looking through like some lists right now of all the
it probably got buried because every year there's a new the top 10 anime videos. If you don't save them, you're gonna lose them forever because that's a glut on the market.
These look like all kinds of other fights. So
and it was more of a meme of people making fun of My Hero Academia fans, right?
Oh,
so
what? Because it was
more
like the Goku punches, or something. Was that it? Because I know with DBZ, like if I'm sure 90%, 99% of the people actually watching this are familiar with DBZ, but in case you're like the one person who hasn't seen it, one of the really famous hallmarks of DBZ is this flurry punch thing where people will just stand in front of each other and do flurry punches for 5-10 minutes or something,
but that never works.
Yeah, I mean it rarely ever works. You basically you do that while your friend is coming and gathering power for his next superpower move, which doesn't actually work either. And then um, it kind of goes on like that. But it's a very, very classic DBZ move, and people used to always make fun of it, being like, "Oh yeah, DBZ, it's just people throwing like millions of punches and not doing anything."
Not like that, but kind of like the fights take how many episodes?
Oh, like
one
easily,
fight could take one fight can take 20 episodes.
yeah, I mean, easily, they could be going on for like 10, 12 episodes in a single fight, and it's just ridiculous. But yeah, again, frame of reference.
Yeah, one of the things I like
Hero
about
Academia doesn't do that.
Like, I bet $90 that Horikoshi would have notes on Dragon Ball and is deliberately drawing ideas from Dragon Ball. Like he literally does have a, what's a parallel of the World Martial Arts Tournament coming up, right? So he's looking. I'm confident that he's looking at previous Shonen Jump manga, identifying elements from them and consciously bringing them in, but then trying to put twists on them. So, like, one thing
and
I like
trying to avoid what made them and what went wrong with them.
Yeah.
I mean, he even has them discussing power levels in that same fight. Like, I'm going to 100%. It's not working. I've got to push to 110%. I'm hitting you with more than my full power.
Yeah,
right?
you were built to fight me at 100%. So I'll just have to go to 110%.
Yeah, all that stuff is coming in, and that's classic DBZ fight material right there. So
measurement, super determinism, determination is the strongest superpower. Plus, we have to describe a number to explain how strong the superpower. Well, but then again, maybe that's unfair to DBZ, because I think I've read somewhere that Toriyama said that he introduced power levels as a joke to say you can't measure power. So when they have a system for measuring power, Goku instantly breaks it, right? And so then it becomes pointless. It goes straight from hundreds to billions, right?
Yeah, I think that's the sense that I always got from Dragon Ball too. I know fans like to argue about power levels and get into the nerdy details of power levels. And it wasn't Toriyama who invented that idea either of this idea that heroes are fueled by determination and one-upping their own power. That happens a lot in Japanese stories and Japanese media.
in My Hero, it's actually, and it actually focuses on that a lot. It's breaking your limit.
Focusing on limit breaks and improving your own power.
Mm-hmm.
Become the best version of yourself. Start working out right now. That's how we could sum this all up. So let me think. So we've left off with Nomu knocked out. All Might is basically down to his last steam. And these three idiots find the villain who's jamming the signals. This is something I noticed was pretty different from anime to manga. In the manga, he says something like, "Come with me and I'll let this guy live." So it sort of sounded like, maybe they'll take him away and kill him, but maybe there's at least the possibility that they'll let them live.
Sounds more like a pedo.
Yeah, maybe something bad like that. And in the anime, I think he literally said,
or maybe this guy's the bigger pervert.
Yeah.
A joke at there being bigger perverts in the My Hero world.
Yeah. Where I was going with that is, I think in the anime he says, either I will kill you or I will kill him. Which do you pick? So that's another example of how, it's kind of the same threat, just slightly changed from translation to translation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the anime translation as far as I remember. So
I like the bit where Ear Jack Girl was going for the sly sneak attack, and he saw through it. That's kind of neat. Like, little, the kids are trying to keep a cool head about them, but the villains aren't entirely a bunch of incompetent boobs. There's another Sans Eye for me and Alice.
So what is the meaning of that meme?
Well, okay.
Educate me.
The Undertale became super popular, and Sans gets a cool moment where one of his eyes glows, and you suddenly realize, oh no, this goofy guy was a badass the whole time, right? So that's the reason why it was so exciting. And then the meme became a way of making fun of Undertale nerds, because it's an Amogus meme. It's entirely over referenced, but for boomers like me, it gets funnier every single time I see it, because I'm not gonna let the kids forget that they actually thought Sans Undertale was funny.
All right, yeah, I get it. I mean that even that wasn't dreamed up by Undertale either. That was, they've been doing, like, I think the first time I saw that was in Ninja Gaiden, like the very first game on the NES, when they're showing like his badass like close up of his eyeball thing. But that's really dating myself.
This is something I mentioned earlier, but I got mixed up on the timeline sequence. So Shigaraki freaks out and kind of like withdraws into himself and starts, scratching himself like a crazy person. And Kurogiri calms him down, which is bad because all Might can do right now is bluff. He's transforming back to his normal form, and Deku's seen that before, so he knows what's happening, and he knows that All Might basically can't move. So his only play is, if you think you can take me, come and bring it on, right? So if they go for All Might, he literally can't move at this point. Deku jumps in at the last second, and I thought this was kind of interesting. So Deku jumps in, you think he's going to be his heroic moment. He's broken his legs again, but then Bakugo and Kirishima and the others all dive in. So just as Deku is, trying to do whatever he can do, it's sort of underscored that he's not a hero yet. He's not ready to fill All Might's shoes yet. He needs other people to back him up. I wish we got to read issue 0. So I'll just mention this. If you read issue 0, which was sort of like the early version of My Hero Academia, where the Deku was named Jack and he was like a 30-year-old salaryman. This design here is actually a recycled character from the pilot manga. So he's kind of been brought back to give like a little, Easter egg guest star appearance. So Snipe shows up and helps take out the bad guys, and the day is saved. So, do you guys have any thoughts on the character arc? Oh, and here's Midnight, by the way. There's Midnight for you, One Punchy. So,
oh, that one. Yeah,
that
okay.
one.
I mean, oh wait, is that supposed to be a naked boob, or?
It's supposed to be a white spandex suit that's nearly the same color as her skin tone.
Okay. And
Actually,
what, like it ends...
it's a cotton fiber that that allows her to use her cork.
Nice.
Because her cork is to make a like miasma like thing that can put people to sleep. It works best on men.
Oh, okay, yeah. So she's one of those like pheromone villains or something,
Pheromone heroes.
Yeah.
Sedusa, yeah. Well, that's a great there's an interesting vibe of heroes with super villainy powers, but they're heroes,
Yeah. Yeah, well, that gun guy actually, the dominatrix chick, I didn't really notice too much, but that gun guy was pretty brutal when he was shooting the legs out of what's his face.
Shigaraki. I think another anime change, like here it's just like a flurry of bullets, and in the anime they make a point that he takes out his limbs one at a time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw this in the anime, and I don't know. I'm kind of liking this manga version.
I like these two panels. I really like these two panels because it's like he deliberately chose a different style to draw All Might, kind of Jack Kirby-ish. He did this weird gray tone pencil-y style for Shigaraki. So it's like he picked two completely different art styles to complement his regular art style.
Yeah.
With a vibe of solid and creepy, wrinkly, and off kilter. That's pretty daring too. Like, I'm just gonna change up my art style for this one dude.
Yeah, well, he was doing that in the previous issues too. I remember you brought that up, where he was doing like the creepy kind of art style for the villains, and then he was doing the sort of dramatic, hectic, oh crap art style for the kids who are about to get dead.
Yeah, and it only works in this format. Like, I guess they do a little thing. They still kind of like black out All Might's eyes a bit, but they can't even do like the joke that, oh, he's drawn differently than the rest of us in the anime.
Well, I mean, they could. I know the Ron Mahaf animes used to play around with that a lot, but it wasn't as organic, right? Like in the mangas, when you change up the art styles, it just feels more natural, right? But if you've got something like that in the anime, it takes you out of the action, and it just feels less real.
Yeah. Static images. I guess, yeah, because you experience anime in time by watching it, but static images, it's sort of like these are all pieces of a painting, right? So the contrast, I noticed the contrast, and the contrast stands out, but in animation, I don't know I don't think you could translate this effect to animation.
Not exactly, not faithfully. If you tried, it would feel more like a joke. Like in Ron Mahaf, when they do like stylistic changes, it's always to accentuate some kind of a joke sequence, or like the father gets pissed off and he turns into like a big Japanese ghost with all kinds of flowers and stuff around him, and it draws you out.
It's like chibis to communicate someone is being goofy. Yeah, so
they'll do that too. They'll throw in like little chibi characters just out of the blue.
So the end of Deku's arc in this is that he kind of feels useless and he didn't contribute much. And then All Might's whole point is, you bought me a few seconds, and that's what saved me. So Deku feels weak. He feels like he can't feel this man's shoes and didn't add much. But the little bit that he did add is what made all the difference for saving his hero. It's kind of neat because All Might looks really metal throughout the sequence. Like he basically just dared look death in the eye and dared it, right? And Deku, even though he's not up to that level yet, he's still able to do something that wins the respect of his father figure. So that's pretty sweet. Aw. And then we get more notes on character design. That wild hairstyle refuses to calm down. It's a pain. He's fun to draw. And then I think chapter 20, that's the end of the fight, basically.
Okay.
And chapter 21 is basically just like the cooldown. We kind of like get the after action report on everything that's happened. So I'll pull that up so we can flip through it. And this is probably like a good chance for us to maybe like revisit what our general thoughts have been. I thought it was kind of nice, maybe like a comic relief after all the intensity. So Kirishima, just comes running up to see it, make sure everyone's okay, and All Might just thinks, "Oh crap, he'll discover my secret identity." No, and Cementos protects All Might's secret identity at the last second.
Yeah.
Shigaraki returns home to report to Mr. Mysterious Bad Guy behind the TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's injured except Deku again. And Deku and All Might hang out in the hospital. Okay, here's something kind of cool. There's like a detective character who's introduced who's friends with All Might, and this is apparently one of the persons he trusted with his secret. So earlier when he told Deku you could be a police officer, it kind of later he felt bad about that, but one of the people that All Might really respects apparently is just a regular cop who has to do good we still need good cops doing investigative work in this superhero world. So that's kind of interesting. Alice, do you know if we get to see much more of Sukauchi? Do we get to see more of this guy in future?
Yes, and it turns out his quirk is actually good for investigation because it's basically truth detection.
Ah, okay. Because I was interpreting him as just like a normal dude, but yeah.
So he actually is a superhero or a super powered guy then, I guess.
Yeah, but didn't take the superhero instead took the route of something that everyone could take.
Yeah, well, didn't they say what was the percent of people who had quirks? Wasn't it
it's
like
now like
almost everyone?
It's like 80% of people have quirks now.
Yeah. So I mean, what do they do with like police officers and things? Are they all like super quirk guys, just not like crap quirks, or?
No.
What I would go ahead, Alice. Yeah.
In fact, you see more quirkless people in the future episodes.
Okay, so like a police officer would be quirkless then, or I mean, did they obviously they couldn't just get rid of police entirely, because
or they might have a quirk, but they're not necessarily superhero appropriate quirks,
yeah.
right? Because Deku's mom has the quirk of telekinesis of small objects, but she's not a superhero. She just has a nice little quirk that helps her out around the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, she could probably use that in a fight, like get like a bunch of bullets or something, you know.
I don't know if it's that powerful though. Yeah, that's a good question, right?
Well, the quirk they make a observation later that quirks are like muscles, so you have to train them to do stuff. If you can't, so
if she set her mind on being a superhero, maybe she could have attained greater power.
Maybe she could have done something. What about the principal guy? Is his quirk just to have like lustrous fur because of like the
no?
keratin,
His is high specs, meaning that he can basically predict a person's actions.
Oh, okay. So
now is it high IQ power or is it future sight power?
It's high IQ.
Okay.
Honestly, and this is the funny part, the more tea that he drinks, the better he gets.
He's fueled by tea. Yeah, I mean, I guess that could work. I mean, you had people like Popeye, right? You know,
yeah,
fueled by spinach, so why not tea?
I like how almost everyone has some kind of element to it where there's something that helps them and something that hinders them. That's one of the hardest things I've noticed for new superheroes is if it's not just Stan Lee once joked, there are a million superheroes that shoot fire out of their hands. So a guy with the powers of a spider is different. That stands out more. Horikoshi seems to have a talent for there's a catch 22 to a lot of these powers.
What about like Balls Guy though?
I guess his power. Oh yeah, his is that if he plucks too many, his head starts.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so there's some upper limit. Yeah,
he starts bleeding all over the place. And the frog girl, does she have like a limit to her power?
Her limitation is that since she has her biology is similar to that of a frog, she also has the weaknesses of them too. If it gets too cold, she'll go into a hibernative state, which makes her weaker.
Oh, okay. Like she has to get wet or something too.
Yeah, she mentions that if the bad guys
she needs to have a water source to keep herself moist.
Yeah,
and of course Deku, whenever he uses his power, he like breaks his fingers and stuff. So that's well established. What about his friend there? His frenemy, I forget his name.
Bakugo.
Yeah, Bakugo.
Bakugo
is it just his attitude?
I guess his attitude is his character's a weakness. I guess he's kind of being played as like a natural genius type. Like he just has a natural gift for this. I guess it's a little,
he's a child prodigy gone wrong.
Yeah, that can be. I mean, I know from direct experience that can be a curse as well as a blessing, because it tends to make you lazy and make you make mistakes that people who struggle more wouldn't make. So
If I were to say, I'd say he's smart, but he has social problems.
no.
He
Okay,
has he's disabled in the social sense.
Okay, so it's a social weakness rather than a power weakness or a physical weakness.
Yeah, and they also reveal why that is. Turns out his mom hits him a lot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Wait, I've seen her do it for like comedic, like haha scenes. Do they do that as like a dramatic? This is a problem.
It turns out it's abusive or something.
No. In fact, it also appears later on as a joke when they're trying to get their licenses. That Katsuki says, "Hey, sometimes a little violence is needed. Look at me, I came out awesome." I wouldn't say that.
That might actually be a really interesting thing for a con. I mean, I don't know if it sounds like he doesn't actually go this way, but introduce a character who has like comedy being beaten by his parents every once in a while, and then like slowly have it dawn on people that it's actually a serious problem, and it's so you go from
Simpsons
laughing
did it.
Oh wait, yeah. Wait, which episode of The Simpsons did that happen?
Well, because the gag of Bart choking of Homer choking Bart, they had one episode where they treated it totally seriously, like you would in the real world.
Yeah, there are parts where they kind of make reference to that, and like he's abusing his boy, and but I don't know. They kind of do it in a funny way, though.
I think the writers once said the reason we did that was because if like he spanks Bart, that's normal, but if he chokes Bart, that's weird,
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out he gets his attitude from his mom too.
Yeah,
I don't know what his dad. I don't know what he gets from his dad other than the hair.
Now, okay, wait. Is his dad? I guess this is just for me and Alice. Is his dad muscle guy in the
no
school?
I think his dad is like an engineer.
Okay.
One of the quirk engineer guys that are making stuff for the superheroes, or
I don't think it really says. It's been a while since I've looked at his bio. Yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at his bio. All I know is that Katsuki's mom wears the pants in the relationship.
Maybe in its smaller genre, but
the Metal says he hasn't seen a fight in MHA that belongs in a top 10 list if it's all time. Maybe in its smaller genre of like Shonen Jump boys manga, maybe. But Naruto is in the same genre and blows out of the water. That's kind of like a trip down memory lane. I remember people my age. Like I think that Naruto was what for MHA is for Zoomers what Naruto was for people my age, and what Dragon Ball was for people my older brother's age. Naruto was like the thing that people my age were talking about and just blown out of the water by. And now I look back at it and see its flaws, but I remember like, wow, the fights are actually strategic in Naruto. Wow.
Yeah, Naruto. That was really popular with boomers. I mean, I was a couple years older, and I remember because all my friends were into Dragon Ball, and Naruto. You either watched it if you were the little brother, or you were like a complete nerd that nobody wanted to talk to. But yeah, Naruto was definitely popular. I mean, what do you guys think would be in a top 10?
For Shonen Jump or all time?
For like all time.
I think that like my impression of JoJo so far is I think one of the fights from JoJo should be in there because Araki's writing style is so weird and unique. Yeah. Maybe the fight between JoJo and the guy who can predict the future, where JoJo doesn't even know they're trying to kill them, and they just keep comedically misinterpreting what the future it is, right? Things like that, like the comedy element where there's a problem and you don't know what the solution to the problem could possibly be. So the hero seems to be in the worst situation possible. The guy who predicts the future predicts that bullets will go through JoJo's head. How can he possibly get out of this one? And then somehow the prophecy comes true, but not in the way you were expecting. So that JoJo can survive, right? That kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. It's a giant puzzle. It's a fight that's also a giant puzzle.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I haven't seen that, so I can't opine on it. I tried to watch JoJo. I couldn't get into it. I gave up after a few episodes, and
Me too.
I really strongly object to any anime that starts with a dog getting thrown into a furnace. So
I
was
know.
very sad about
To
that.
me, though, that's what motivates me, right? Like, I need to see Dio punished. Like I don't really care about any of the other characters. I specifically want to see the guy who killed the dog. I want to see him die, right?
Yeah. Well, I saw up until that fight in like the burning house or whatever with the extreme homoerotic subtext.
Yes, yeah. I like JoJo for what it is, and it's definitely that 100%.
Yeah. I mean, the thing like JoJo has always struck me as being
JoJo's
really
just
weird.
one giant meme after one giant meme.
It's not really shoujo, and it's not really shonen. It's like a weird like girl version of a guy's comic, or maybe like a guy version of a girl comic. If that makes any sense.
I see it as melodrama, right? Like they're British characters, and the British melodrama is weird because you kind of can't take it seriously, but the characters take their world so seriously. So you
like Mr. Bean.
Maybe.
Well, I would say more like Jane Austen. I mean, I know that you like Jane Austen, right?
I take her seriously. Yeah,
so I hate Jane Austen. I really do, but but I think that might be one of the reasons that I can't really get into JoJo. just seems too much like Jane Austen with bodybuilders.
Man, I'd actually pay for a Hirohiko Araki adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, where Mr. Darcy's being rude to her at the dinner, and then Hirohiko Araki draws that with all of his melodrama over the top style. So
yeah, I mean, if they started punching each other in the middle of Pride and Prejudice, I'd actually be okay with that. But
I've made fun of Dragon Ball in the past, but I respect it. I think early Dragon Ball's a little bit more goofy, creative, and Dragon Ball Z. The thing I like about Dragon Ball Z is in a lot of the fights, the tension is we've got to stall for time until Goku shows up, but then Krillin.
Yeah, that's like 90% of the fights.
Yeah.
That's why they're like 12 episodes long, because they're fighting just to hold them off so that Goku can show up and pull off this new move that he just trained for.
But I like the tension part, because it's like Krillin's overpowered completely, so he's got to do something creative. Fox tactics, right?
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you've ever watched the Dragon Ball Z Abridged, they actually have a kill counter for Krillin.
Yeah.
Because earlier I was actually going to mention that when we were talking about Eraserhead and 13, it was basically Krillin and Yamcha, holding off people until Goku shows up. This planet will blow up in 5 minutes. Yeah,
the greatest lie ever told, says the metal. The planet will blow up in 5 minutes. Now, what do you count as a fight, though? Because I feel like Shonen Jump monopolizes big superpower fights, but could you consider like a sword fight a fight?
Yeah,
or a chess battle a fight?
That's a fight. I mean, I guess a chess battle might be a fight. Did they ever do like a battle chess manga or something? I'm sure they have. But,
there's got to be, yeah.
I mean,
there's a glut on the market of a manga for everything, right? So there's got to be one. I want to do that. I want to do that with like the Bobby Fischer chess fight. Like take the Bobby Fischer game of the century, but then just play him as like shonen Bobby Fischer up against the evil grand champion at the.
Yeah, well, would the chess pieces turn into monsters, or would it just be a regular chess game? I
It
guess
would
that would
have
be
to
the
be.
question.
I'd want to do it as like a regular chess game, but then like symbolically illustrate all of the nerdy chess moves.
Okay.
It's like, hey, normies, this technique is basically like sending in. It's basically the chess equivalent of dropping a windmill on your opponent that's still running, right?
Yeah.
Something over the top like that. I don't know.
Show like at the bottom of the panel, like the hero concentrating really hard, and then at the top of the panel, this big white knight about to take off, the Black Queen's head or something, just to illustrate.
Draw the queen in lingerie for no reason at all.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, there is a reason, but
it's just not the reason people want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that could work. I mean, for me, like as far as like animes go, because usually when I think of like great fight scenes, the first thing that pops into my head is like Gendy Tartovsky stuff, like Samurai Jack and Primal.
That's to me is a that to me is like a genre definer. Like
Yeah,
I still haven't seen anyone. I've seen people after Samurai Jack who say, "Man, I love Samurai Jack. I want to mix in some of that." I haven't seen anything like Samurai Jack before Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
It's mixing up. Like obviously they have cultural references that they're mixing up too, but they're mixing them up in a way that I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything that mixed them up that way, right? Like anything can happen in Samurai Jack.
Yeah, well, I think the thing, because I actually I don't like his art style very much. It gets on my nerves. But
I read one of his comics, and his drawing style is really weak in his comics.
yeah.
He's clearly like shaped. I think he gave an interview where he said, my animator taught me to think about shape
In terms of
right?
like geometric shapes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can see, like, as an art student, he's trying to do like a Disney style, and then he switches to this sort of 2D shape style that works really well for Cartoon Network. But I think it ended up kind of like maybe limiting him a bit. So it's like really good visual direction, not necessarily the best drawing, but really solid visual thought thinking.
That's exactly my thoughts too. I don't like the style, like visually. I think it's kind of ugly and dumb. And I've had friends, like I've tried to convince them to watch Samurai Jack, and they can't get over the geometric style. I know that there are a lot of people who do like that, like the Batman the animated series kind of stuff. Cartoon Network fans tend to love it. But the reason I like his fights is because of like the art direction and the clever things he does with the camera angles and with his style. Things like the Shadow Ninja fight.
That was
seen
great.
That one? Yeah,
I've seen the whole series. I love it.
Yeah, he always has. Yeah, he always has like really clever ideas that he just throws in. And like the blind archer fight where it's.
No, I've got to say it's not just Gendy. He was the creator, but it was its people. So I just want to be careful.
That whole team is well. I'll just say Gendy just to so people
summarize
know about it.
Yeah,
and also in Primal, like Primal's also really good. It's not quite as like artsy as Samurai Jack, but it has that visceral quality which I really wanted from Samurai Jack. Like there was one scene in particular, the big bug insect robots.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yep, kind of like Beetle-ish.
Yeah, there's like all these robots, and he's killing all these robots, and it's this really awesome, classic.
Are you talking about Samurai Jack, or are you talking about Primal?
Yeah, Samurai Jack. But the thing with that scene was because it was very like Ninja Turtles, because he was just fighting robots, and the blood was just oil from the robots and things. So it was kid friendly. But it was too kid friendly for me. So something like Primal, where it's more primal, I guess I would say. That kind of gets more to the heart of what I look for in fight scenes. Things like
give an example.
What, like from Primal, or
yeah.
Well, Well, like things like Ninja Scroll too. That would be something else I would bring up. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that was one of those frame of reference animes that I saw very very young. I think I was like 8 years old or something when I saw Ninja Scroll for the first time. Um, and that one it's
I
hyper
don't remember
violent.
the age that I saw it. All I
Yeah,
know is
but
that was a very, very, very long time ago.
yeah, and it gets very dark, and there's a famous scene where one of the ninja, like the evil villain ninja, comes out with a giant shuriken blade, like a boomerang shuriken blade, and kills a whole platoon of good guy ninjas, and there's just like blood and body parts raining down from the sky as they're like chopped up in the trees, and it's that kind of stuff is the sort of frame of reference that I'm coming at from anime perspectives. So um my Hero Academia fights, like they don't strike me as bad, right? But they lack that visceral element that you used to get from like 80s and 90s animes. Devilman too. That's another thing I could bring up because they in addition to Bastard, they also brought back Devilman in a crossover with Cyborg 007. Was
Oh,
that
Cyborg
double oh
009.
nine? Yeah, 009, 009. And Devilman is another one of these like really hyper violent, don't let the kids see it, um, kind of animes and mangas.
I
But
watched the whole thing of Devil May Cry Baby, and I really scarred myself. So don't watch it, people.
what was that? Was that an anime or was that like
Yeah,
a 3D?
no anime.
Okay.
Because it's a video game, isn't it?
I never want to see it again.
Yeah.
It was that bad. It scarred me for life.
Yeah, or I mean, because we watched all the Resident Evil things too, right? Like I I guess you wouldn't call them animes. They're like the 3D computer generated
No,
movies.
they are still classified as animes,
Are
but
they?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, have you ever seen those, Mom?
I've seen one of the live action Resident Evil movies. I didn't know there
Oh God.
were CG animated ones.
Yeah, no, there's proper there's proper ones made by Capcom that are all like canonical to the games and everything.
Yep.
They're a little silly. um, they have things like a sniper rifle, a Gauss sniper rifle that blows up like 17 buildings,
Okay.
Oh no, that was a
skyscrapers.
railgun. That was a compact
Yeah,
railgun.
it's some kind of like railgun or Gauss rifle or something, and
Now,
it's
Silent Hill is the one
uh,
with the pyramid heads, right? Or is
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I don't know if Silent Hill has ever done like a TV show, but
No.
that's more based on horror, and a lot of the especially since Resident Evil 5, it's been very action kung fu oriented,
Yeah.
and the
Ki-
Resident Evil Capcom movies are just it's like watching a John Woo film, but with CGI, basically, gun kata kind of stuff, and people doing kung fu moves and shooting each other at the same time. Um,
Silent Hill for scares, Resident Evil for zombie kung fu.
yeah, basically. um, and what else? Well, I would say like the best fights though, like the best overall all time fights would be things like Jackie Chan movies, and like the hallway scene from Old Boy, like those kind of live action things. I don't know if there are any animes that I would put like in my best 10 fights of all time. Um,
So you're broadening it beyond animation and anime. All right.
Yeah, if we're gonna broaden it to like anything of all time, um, I'd say Jackie Chan and and Old Boy. Um,
Have you ever seen his old Drunken Master movie?
oh
Where
yeah, yeah.
before he
The
became a
first
big hit.
one or the second one? I mean, I've
I've
seen
only seen the
both of
first
them, but I
one
think
because they remade it, didn't they?
Yeah,
Didn't
well,
they?
they did a couple of them, several of them, and they're like holdovers, stuff that are similar between earlier ones. He also did. Oh God, where did this get brought up? I was watching some sort of stream the other day, or some kind of nerd podcast where they kind of slyly brought up uh oh God, what was it? Fantasy Mission Force. Um, have you ever
I
seen
don't
that
know
one?
it. Don't know
Yeah,
it.
that's like the worst movie ever made. It's it's an old Jackie Chan movie that nobody knows about because nobody wants to talk about it. It's basically a YouTube poop, but made
With
by
Jackie Chan in it.
yeah, with Jackie Chan in it. Although he's like a side character. They build the movie as a Jackie Chan film, but it's mostly not Jackie Chan. But yeah, it's literally like YouTube poop because I looked up why the movie was made and how the movie was made, and it comes from some kind of obscure like surreal comedy genre
Yeah.
that Hong Kong cinemas used to like making, and they'd been made up of primarily like old footage and like reused stock footage and movies that never got produced, and you just splice them up into this weird mishmash of like surrealist kung fu comedy. So it's an old school YouTube poop. It's YouTube poop before kids had computers to do it more easily. So
Yeah.
it's pretty bad. But but do you know, are there any like mangas or anything that do those sort of
Like
Jackie
surreal
Chan
stuff.
or
Or you mean more like Jack? Okay, by Jackie Chan, you mean like Hong Kong kung fu style?
yeah,
Oh, you can
yeah,
find
or like
that.
an
Yeah.
old boy kind of. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how you do old boy in a comic setting.
I picked up one called Tepu recently. That's mixed martial. It's about girls who start a mixed martial arts
Ooh.
club, and it has a very intelligent, like this person gets mixed martial arts, right, and applies
Okay.
it, right. And since there's no superpowers, like all of the drama has to come from using real world techniques effectively.
Oh, okay. Like going onto BJJ Tube or something,
Yeah.
and listening to all the martial arts nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and then there are a few I haven't read yet that, the whole premise is like they're having a world martial arts tournament, and they can range in tone from like goofy and over the top. Like they have fantastical techniques. It's just fantastical techniques that are based on real make-believe techniques from our world, right? Like the touch of death and things like that.
Oh yeah, Denmark kind of stuff.
The kind of thing you could learn by reading an American comic book and ordering the 10-cent booklet. Yeah, those kind of ancient secrets.
Yeah, okay, like the like Count Dante sort of things.
Yeah. Vagabond by Inoue, that's really good swordsmanship. A swordsmanship manga, and I'd say it's pretty real world grounded. He just he describes kind of like what the greatest swordsman in the real world can do. His characters can do, right? That's it. That's as crazy as he'll get.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking up Vagabond right now, and for some reason, like I would have thought Vagabond would have had a lot of different stuff since it's such a normal word, but it's just all page after page after page of the manga. And yeah, it definitely, like, even the style, like the drawing style, it looks very like realistic and almost Korean. Is it by a Korean guy, or
he is Japanese?
Okay.
He's got a weird story. He did like this celebrated manga. He did another celebrated manga about wheelchair basketball because he just got he did basketball coaching and he got into it, and he just thought there's a story here, and I love wheelchair basketball, so I'm just gonna make one in my same incredible style. And then he retired from manga to coach basketball for a while.
Like regular basketball or wheelchair?
Yeah, just like he wanted to coach like high school basketball. Like, this is my dream. And so, And now he's come. I think he came back just recently to finish Vagabond, and that was the big news of the internet for a while. Because originally he like took a break, and then he did like a major art show where he drew all the characters of Vagabond for an art show, and the art show was sort of like the weird, like fourth wall break ending of the comic. I think is what some people interpreted it. But now he's actually coming back to finish it proper.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check this out because I'm looking through it, and it actually kind of reminds me of the stuff that I used to do too.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I'll have to give that. Like things like Zatoichi, right? Like
I love Zatoichi.
Yeah,
that is such an underappreciated. I can't believe that more weebs haven't discovered Zatoichi because
did they ever do an anime version of it?
Not that I've been able to find. I think there was a manga for Zatoichi, but I haven't been able to dig. That's like more like deep lore, I guess if you were collecting in the 1970s in Japan, you could get that one.
Yeah, that's like a weeb before weebs. I mean, I think that's kind of that gets to a deeper issue that I've actually struggled with before because I'm not really a weeb. Like I don't know if I'd call myself a weeb, but I do like a lot of Japanese culture and a lot of elements of Japanese like pop culture, but more than just anime and more than manga, right? So it's things like Zatoichi, which was a live action TV show about a blind samurai guy who's actually he's technically not a samurai. He's like a masseuse
peasant. Yeah, he's a peasant.
Masseuse. Yeah, and but he has like super ninja samurai powers with the sword, and he goes around kind of fighting evil and getting into hijinks and stuff. And it's actually it's a really good series. They have some great sword fight scenes in it. And they brought it up in the Boondocks too.
Yeah, he inspired. I think Frank Miller cited Zatoichi as an inspiration for his run with Daredevil.
Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, though, they cited Zatoichi as an inspiration for Toph. He is just like gem of a character who, people who know about all the people who know about him love him, but not a lot of people know about him.
Yeah, he's a great character. So check him out as well. But yeah, this Vagabond thing, just flipping through it, it's got that kind of.
You'll dig it. It's very well. Okay, it's based on the same romantic novel that the Toshiro Mifune samurai movie trilogy is based off. It's supposed to be Miyamoto Musashi, right?
Okay.
But then the novel, it's one of these like romantic historical novels that tries to give you the real story of who Miyamoto Musashi might have been. Right.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'll check that out. Do they have like the ore fight, or is it?
It has. It has like parallel scenes. Like I know that it has the same scene of him being like basically like hung from a tree to die. Right. It's based on the same novel, so you're going to see parallel characters. But I think Inoue, when he made his manga adaptation, he wanted to like emphasize certain aspects that were important to him. So it's not a slavish copy of the original novel, I think.
Yeah.
All right, okay, lots for our anime and not anime recommendations. I connect with that. Like I love Japanese stuff, but I don't necessarily identify as a weeb, except unless it's tongue in cheek. So yeah.
Yeah, well, right. I guess you're an honorary weeb. You're is there a word for that? Like a weeb who's kind of ambivalent about anime but is still a weeb.
Ironic weeb, weeabone. There's gotta be, yeah. I don't know. Like I've called it the Japonese because there was like that was the name for like the impressionists.
Yeah, like back in
craze
back
for
in the day.
for Japan. Yeah.
like
I,
an Orientalist or something.
yeah.
But that just sounds like you'd get canceled in a minute, though, if you're like, oh,
Well, I thought it was
I'm
okay
an
to say. I
Orient.
thought it was okay to describe objects as Oriental, just not people, right?
Yeah,
But
I
then
don't
again,
know.
everything's woke, so
The rules
maybe,
change every
yeah.
year. It's a new rule.
It's
Old
it's
rules
wrong to say
become
the word Oriental when telling people not to say the word Oriental. That too will get
yeah.
you canceled.
So
Oh,
Takeshi Kitano.
Takashi Kitano did a good adaptation. I only
Okay.
just walked back of the same samurai novel. Wow, maybe he just has like a lot of adaptations.
Yeah, actually, did I?
Oh wait, maybe he's
Um,
talking about. I think he's talking about
yeah,
the
he means
new.
he
He's
means
talking about the new
Zatoichi, I
Zatoichi
think.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah, because Takeshi Kitano did a famous new Zatoichi movie. So,
yeah.
and he's great too. Like, have you seen a lot of Takeshi Kitano stuff? Or
I haven't, and so like I watched a lot of the Zatoichi movies with my dad when I was like 14, and then he
Mhm.
watched the new Takeshi
Oh.
Kitano one, and he said that one's R-rated, so we're not going to watch that one. So I've never gotten around to watching that one yet.
That's too bad. Yeah, he's really fun. He's kind of like he's like the Japanese Robert De Niro, I guess.
All right.
Because he's famous. He's most famous for doing all kinds of like yakuza gangster things, and being really deadpan. And he was in Battle Royale as well, which I know got mentioned the other day. The one that was the inspiration for oh god, what was it? Alice, the one that you really like,
Huh?
the one with all the
With all the
kids
kids.
fighting and murdering each other.
Oh, Hunger Games?
Yeah, Hunger Games. So if you're into Hunger Games, Takeshi Kitano is in some ways the grandfather of Hunger Games. So
All right.
recommend that as well.
Alice, do you have any I guess like thoughts overall on the series we read, or do you have any like series you'd like to recommend that you think could kind of like fit into I don't know, for fans and non-fans of My Hero Academia? Do you have any series you're checking out that you think would be fun?
Mm, don't watch Devilman Crybaby.
Okay,
Please
don't put Crybaby on your list.
Okay.
That's good too, right?
Unless you are a sicko, because trust me,
Okay, I'll have to
I
check
still
it
have
out then.
nightmares.
Oh, what was it? Devil May Cry Baby?
Devilman Crybaby.
Oh, Devil Man.
So
Okay.
not Devil May Cry, Devilman Crybaby.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Devil Man is definitely yeah. It's
It will
it's
scar
not
you
safe
for
for work.
life.
I'll say that. Um,
It will scar you for life, and you
yeah.
don't want that.
I haven't seen this particular version. Is this older?
No,
Or
it
when did
came out
this?
like maybe in 2015. No,
Okay.
17.
Okay. Yeah. So it's very relatively new. I mean, because we watched the cyborg version, right?
Uh-huh.
Cyborg 00.
The crossover.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit more old school, but I'm sure Devil May Cry Baby is, or Devil Man Cry Baby is wacky too.
Apparently, Takeshi has also done one of the hardest video games ever, and
Yep.
did an obstacle course show.
Yeah, Takeshi's Castle. Takeshi's Castle. If you guys ever remember Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, MXE, that was like a meme show for boomers back when the internet was still young. Everyone was watching that. That was the English language localization of Takeshi's Castle. And yeah, Takeshi's
Did it have like him in it but dubbed, or did they do like the weird thing where they would like redub it?
like they completely redubbed it, and they did that sort of I mean, if you've ever watched a lot of like overdubbed Japanese television shows where the guys are really over the top and kind of obnoxious in in the dialogue and stuff, that's kind of got started with Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. But it's it was a game show.
You
like a
are the
weird
weakest link. Goodbye.
like a physical game show. Like if you remember from like the old school Nickelodeon game shows, like the
Uh,
Double Dare challenges and stuff, and
yeah, the totem
have the
one.
guy. Yeah, it's things like that. Like you'd have the guy like you'd have to run across a pond, hopping from brick to brick or something, and if you fall in, then you're eliminated. Um, and
So Japan started that trend, and then it trickles down until it becomes American Ninja Warrior or something,
yeah,
right?
it was like a prototype for Ninja Warrior, except instead of being like really fit, athletic Chad dudes, it's normal schlubs. Off
The
the
memo
street.
says MXC's dub was mostly improv and often changed
Yeah,
everything about what was being said.
Yeah, it had like absolutely nothing to do with the original series.
Sort of the Samurai Pizza Cats school of thought in translation.
Basically, yeah, it's just go for it. But
did you ever watch Samurai Pizza Cats, Punchy?
Yeah, a little bit. I remember when that was on. Was that on Cartoon Network or something?
I think so, and I would see trailers for it. I didn't really. That was another one where like the internet made me aware that I should look for this thing and that I would be interested.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan, but I know Chris Chan actually enjoyed Samurai Pizza Cats and had.
Oh, there you go. Now it's like required homework for you now.
But
is he still in prison?
Actually, I don't know. I haven't gone and checked. Probably. I mean, he was in jail, not prison. Last I checked, but yeah, Takeshi's channel challenge. That was it's a notorious video game. It's often considered the worst video game ever made, but it was set up specifically to troll gamers because Beat Takeshi didn't like gamers and didn't like video games. So when they came to pitch him this idea of like, hey, we're going to do a video game based on you and based on your ideas and everything, he was like, okay, I'm just going to make it terrible. So if you're a gamer, that's something.
Is it kind of like in the same vein as like I Want to Be the Guy, where you're playing it and then it trolls you in creative ways with how hard it is, or is it just or is it just hard because it's bad?
It's just intentionally crappy. You'll have to go and check it out because it's
all right.
like the ways that they do the gameplay and the amount of time you have to wait and the stuff you got to do. It's terrible. It's if you've ever seen Penn and Teller's video game, it's similar to that.
I don't know anything about Penn and Teller's video game. So they made a troll video game too?
Yeah, they also made a troll video game. That one's famous for having a real time bus trip to Las Vegas that takes you like 10 hours or something, and there's no way to skip it, and there's no way to advance time. And if you there's no actual gameplay, it's just basically driving in a straight line. But every once in a while, the truck starts veering off to the side. So if you're not paying attention and you don't straighten the truck again, you'll wind up crashing. And I believe if you crash, you've got to get towed back to the beginning, also in real time. So if you're like 3 hours into the ride, you got to wait another 3 hours to restart. And
I wonder what the speedrunning community is like for that game.
It's bizarre. They actually do have speedrunning communities, and they've got like streamers for it. But it's such a crap game that it's more for a meme than anything else. So
yeah, you don't program something like that by accident.
Either that or a brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, so Takeshi's challenge and Penn and Teller's video game. If you want to check out like really crappy troll video games that they made to take you off, and Takeshi's Castle. If you're interested in watching like bizarre Japanese game shows where people run face first into walls and things, so
bada bing. All right. Well, I don't have any big recommendations off my list. I want to get back into indie comics reviews again. I'm trying to get it down to like a science where I'll do like the 1 minute review for TikTok and YouTube shorts, and then I'll do the rambly 20-minute review. And I'm starting to like organize it, so I've got like a bookshelf just for the books I reviewed, and I've got a bookshelf for the books that are waiting for reviews. So I'll probably be able to crank out a few more. Jontron did a good breakdown of Takeshi's Challenge back when he still made video game videos, says the metal.
Yeah, probably a lot of like nerd commentators have done stuff on that because it's pretty notorious. Let me see. I'm just looking. Yeah. Okay. Takeshi's Challenge has a speedrunning community.
Very cool.
According to speedrun.com. I'm not sure if
does it tell you the medical records of the players?
No. Oh, actually, yeah. Penn and Teller actually does have a speedrun too. So, if you're interested in, oh wait, no, never mind. The 100% has no runs in it. Any
man, I could go for it. I could be a #1 person in the world at something. Yeah.
you could get the world record for speedrunning Penn and Teller's game. Oh no, wait. Okay. Well, Desert Bus. They have a separate category for Desert Bus, but the full game 100% doesn't have anyone. So you'd have to play Desert Bus plus the rest of the game, I guess.
Yeah.
So the current Desert
Bus, they
picked
out the meme part and made that a thing. Okay.
Yeah, the world record for Desert Bus currently stands at 8 hours, 1 minute, and 19 seconds. So if
how optimized do you think it is, right?
It's probably perfectly optimized because as far as I know, there's no way to like change the speed or anything. It's literally just you're sitting there watching a very, very like early video game screen going by.
Put on some Rush Limbaugh or something to make it even more realistic. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. It's funny you mentioned that too because I think the first time I ever actually listened to like Rush Limbaugh, like I'd heard about him, but I hadn't actually heard his show until I was in the military, and there was a bus driver on post who used to play Rush Limbaugh all the time in the bus. So taking bus rides listening to Rush Limbaugh is a thing in real life, strangely enough. Yes.
Bada bing. All right. Well, I've had a chance to kind of like wrap up my thoughts on actually real quick. I mean, just kind of like my sum up on My Hero Academia. So, nice action-packed ending sequence to season 1. I like how it set us up for just like a fun little school event, and then we got a life or death fight. I like that we got to see most of the characters in action beyond just Deku, and we got to see kind of a nice ending point for Deku where he gets recognized by his father figure. That maybe like the tiny little bit that Punchy didn't get to see in the anime is all that happens is we find out that Eraserhead's okay. He's out of the hospital, bandaged up, and he's telling them that they've got to start preparing for the UA sports festival. So a little comedic beat right at the end, but we'll find out that the UA sports festival is actually pretty serious. So, and then there's a couple more character notes on this guy who you kind of thought was pretty interesting and had the body horror element. Meizo Shoji. I've always been fond of drawing these not quite humanoid type of characters. He's not the type to stand out in the crowd, but I hope to show how cool he is now and then. I want to feature him in the story, but I'm not sure when that'll happen. He's got so many characters, he can't even juggle them all.
Oh, that's actually kind of interesting though. Favorite things: takoyaki and squid ink pasta. I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah,
I like both of those things. I'm a dork. Well,
sounds like my chickens want to say hi.
Oh yeah, I think I heard some of them cheeping.
That'd be it. You guys gotta set up like a chicken live stream just to let people watch the chickens.
Just don't let them out though. Just don't bring them out or anything to chirp, because if you do, Martin's going to eat them. But yeah, I guess for me, yeah, there they are.
Nice.
Yeah, put them back.
It's ASMR.
Yeah, AMSMR
You heard them?
ASMR chickens is fine. Yeah, we heard them, but ASMR chickens is fine. ASMR chickens being mauled by a cat is not. Yeah, so I guess for me, I'd say the phrase of the day would be frame of reference. I didn't dislike the anime episodes I saw, but I definitely wasn't as impressed with them as I thought I would be, or as I thought I should be, running into it. It's nothing against My Hero Academia. I do think there are a lot of clever bits. The creators, obviously, he's a man after my own heart, with all like the nerdy details and the attention to detail that he's got. But I still can't quite get over the fact that this is like a manga geared towards somebody who's half my age.
You're not the target audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the target audience, and and it's weird too, because I can still enjoy some things that I've outgrown the target audience for, but that's mostly like the fan service mangas, right? The kind of silly fan service stuff, like Bastard, for example. And that's the kind of stuff that, like, if you're a 13-year-old boy, you can really get into as well. But I don't know. I don't want to say it needs more fan service for me to get more interested in it. But I'm not the audience, I guess. But it is improving. I'll give you that. It's definitely getting more interesting, and I'm more invested in the story than I was, particularly with Donald Trump there. I can relate to him and to the issues that he's going through. So
A viewpoint character for us. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's weird,
he's someone that
the viewpoint character is so commonly a child, right? Like the child character provides a viewpoint for the little kid you bring to the movie. It's weird how, yeah, I don't see viewpoint adult characters in kid stories that often, but
yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, is he supposed to be a viewpoint character, or is it just that I'm latching onto him as a viewpoint?
maybe. Well, what's odd is how developed he is. Like there are lots of mentor characters. There aren't a lot of mentor characters who are also kind of in the position of like you don't get into Dumbledore's internal psychology or Obi-Wan Kenobi's internal psychology that much. He's a mentor character where we get inside his head. So it's sort of like if I'm like All Might, it's kind of like his orientation towards Deku is, young man, you're gonna be a great hero one day. And my orientation is sort of, yeah, this is for teenagers, but I was a teenager who would have loved this when I was a young man. So it kind of like gives me that frame of reference for it. Like I'm sort of rooting for these kids who are coming up,
Yeah.
First time it felt like I need an adult moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good observation, because I'm trying to think through a lot of these other media that are like young kid and his mentor kind of thing, like Gurren Lagann, right, with Kamina, and I think you're right. Like in most cases, the mentors don't they're full characters and they're interesting characters, but they don't have the same degree of like internal struggle that All Might has, right? Like Kamino was the cool hotshot Chad guy, but he also wasn't brooding and doing all this other stuff in the background. So that's probably contributing to All Might's ability to appear as a mentor character to young Deku. But yeah, it's fine. What about you, Alice? What do you think?
What?
What would be your closing thoughts on
season 1
On
of
this
My Hero
chapter?
Academia?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be, yes, I know. I'll refill your water bowl.
Okay, I think we're having an emergency here.
Become chicken farmer.
Are you able to give the last thoughts, or are you busy?
Yeah. Don't worry. They can wait at least a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I first, I guess I stopped looking at me.
Is it the cat as he come in?
No, they're poking their heads out of the air holes
Okay, yeah,
of their
that's
brooder.
you gotta figure out a way to solve that, because if they poke their heads when Martin comes by, he's gonna take off their head.
He tried.
Are you? Can't you like put them in the? Sorry about this. Is riveting. I know for everyone listening.
I'm just getting a little slice of life.
Yeah, this is the own personal slice of life manga moment. Are you able to put them in the basement, or is
No.
it too damp down there right now? Too cold?
It's unfinished and it's being worked on. So no, not
Okay,
putting them down there.
Well, it also doesn't have a cat prowling around. But
the chemicals used to retile it are not very good for the lungs.
Okay, well, it's up to you. But if Martin does eat them, please don't beat him to death this time. All right. So do you have any closing thoughts on My Hero? I think that
I
was,
like this. I like that they. I liked how they ended it off with the USJ arc, because it leaves you wanting more, but it leaves it open enough.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Like a nice little cliffhanger to get you.
Yes.
We feel satisfied, but there's more adventures on the horizon. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is clearly a comic then, because it's got this cliffhanger ending. Unlike Family Circus, it is a comic.
You're trying to restart the whole thing. That's another one. I actually want to dig out understanding comics and go through that in essay format. So that might be more of a comment war than a live stream war.
Okay. Yeah, for people that don't know, that was a thing on Twitter for like 3 or 4 days.
Is Family Circus a comic? Is the Biden Tapestry a comic?
I mean, I would think that yes, the Bio Tapestry is a comic, or it's just like a really long mural at.
Seriously.
But Family Circus is not. Family Circus is a newspaper strip illustration. It's not a comic. It's a singular illustration.
Dude, one is staring me down.
Of the chickens, right?
Yeah.
All right. I hope you can get the chickens safely away from the cat.
All right. Well, at least.
Don't worry. Don't worry. You won't go after them now. They're a little too big for him.
Oh God. I mean, you were saying that about the quails last time too, so. And we all remember what happened to the quails. But they're not in cardboard.
Quails are much smaller.
Yeah, well, he'd still eat them. He doesn't go after fully grown chickens. I know, because hasn't he been around the fully grown chickens before? Like,
yeah,
was he? Yeah, and he never messed with fully grown chickens, but chicks he will go after them. So. Yeah. Okay. So that's our slice of life. Sorry.
Oh, hey, the Venal has a thoughtful comment for us. I think All Might represents the mentor Horikoshi wishes he had growing up, and that's why he is so full. He spent a
Okay.
long time thinking about him. Metal. Family Circus is a cartoon by classic definition.
Cartoon is fine. I'd be willing to say it's a cartoon. It's not a comic though. It is a cartoon.
Semantic domain. Semantic domain. All right. I'm not going to start that now, or we'll be here for another 3 hours. All right.
Yeah,
so
we'll end around 11 o'clock at night.
That is season 1. Well, kind of. It's season 1 of the anime.
I think it's the end of season 1 of the anime. It's the end of this,
and it's volume 1 and like 2 chapters out of volume 2 of the manga. But a nice kind of like resting point. We're probably going to take a couple weeks off or so, so I can try to crack. I'm going to try to finish Jane Smith Wannabe Gladiator. I'm so close I can taste it.
Yeah,
so I'm going to try to crank that out. And
how far into it are you?
I'm working on page 119 today. I want to try to finish that page today, and I'm trying to get to from 1 page a week to 2 pages a week. And
don't forget to send me that link.
Yes, definitely. I will do so. I initially planned 125 pages, and then one of the fight scenes got away from me and got longer than I thought. So it'll probably be like 130 or 140 pages. Okay. But I know what the final scene is. I just don't know what it translates to into comic pages yet.
All right. Is it are you going to release it all as like a single volume, like a graphic novel, or
I'm going to
split up?
I'm going to seek a physical publisher. I've got a short list of physical publishers. I want to have it in like a state of what I consider 100% completion before I approach the publisher, so that they can say, "Hey, send us the PDF. I have a finished PDF." And I'm going to do an editing process. So I'm going to go over the pages again and just give it one last look for obvious type. I'm my own editor, right? So I'm going to hire myself to edit my comic, maybe tweak things. I promised myself I'm not going to redraw things, because if I get really persnickety, I could say, "Oh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this." So I'm only going to make like minor adjustments to maybe like colors and things here and there, and make sure there are no like really bad errors, and then submit that to maybe 2 or 3 of my short list of publishers, and then start. There's a whole other side of the business I haven't even started yet, which is like teaching myself the whole crowdfunding metagame and the marketing dimension. So yeah, it'll be quiet art mode followed by aggressive online marketing mode for me. So I will keep you guys posted. We will be talking about more live streams in the background that we can do. We'll probably continue My Hero Academia. We will probably reward Punchy with a One Punch Man versus My Hero Academia stream to congratulate him for getting to the end of season 1.
All right.
The Metal says, "I'm a much better editor for other people than I am for myself. Then again, I don't pay myself up front." Yeah, you have to be a perfectionist, and you have to be able to turn on your perfectionism at the right time to be an editor. So
yeah, I think that's the case for most people. It's definitely easier to do it for someone else. Hence the need for editors. Well,
that's something to think about for a side hustle for me. All right, so thanks for everybody. Thank you to the Metal and everybody for joining the chat. Punchy Alice, I'll give you guys like a chance to sign off.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say if you wanna get in on the editing game, you better work quick, because AI is gonna take that job from you too.
Yeah,
art and editing, everyone's doomed.
I hate that.
Yeah,
I hate AI.
Yeah, she's in the anti-AI camp, but that would be something that would take like
another debate. Yeah.
Actually, is Matt C? Did he decide to go to the dark side? Because I remember hearing something he was like being critical of AI again, or something like that.
Really? I thought he was very pro AI. I don't know.
Or like he wasn't as pro AI as he used to be, or something like that. Like,
well, I couldn't find that. So
I don't know.
It's taking away the livelihoods of artists.
Yeah. Well, we had a whole. So Alice, you might be interested in this. Punchy wasn't on that one, but I had a few different. I had like an artist. I had an artist who lost his job. He said he lost his job or his gig work because of AI. I had a writer who used AI to get ideas, and then he'd go hire his artist and say, look, this is basically what I want. Use this to draw it. Right. So it created a job. It destroyed one job and it created another job. Right. So that's just my anecdotal evidence.
Wait. So he used the AI for the idea and then the human for the product?
Yeah, because
that's like the reverse of what you're supposed to do. But I mean, fair enough. But most people, it's like the human gets the idea and then the AI does the product. But
well, right, because it doesn't give him something he can put in a book and say this is finished work. It gives him, give me 30 pictures of guys in cool badass armor, and then he picks the picture of a guy in cool badass armor he likes most, and he asks the artist to clean that. So it's sort of like artist as cleanup guy, right?
Yeah, as like thumbnails and sketches and stuff.
Yeah, it'd be like if you went into your AI, My Hero Punchy guy, and then find the spots where the AI is misinterpreting, and then correctly interpret it using a human eye.
Okay, yeah. So. That I think that's a good strategy, and I think a lot more people are going to be doing that. I misunderstood. I thought you meant like he'd gone into like chat AI, chat GPT or whatever, and come up with an idea in there, and then gave the AI idea, like hey AI, come up with a cool comic book idea for me. Okay, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing it as like sketches is fine. Yeah. I think that's
no one's safe. The doodlers or the tippity typers at the old typewriter.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe it'll come and the good guys will take over AI and it'll all be okay because the lizards won't run it. I don't know.
No, the lizards are going to run it. They're in the phase right now where they're scaremongering to set up enough demand for the regulations which will favor the lizards and screw over everybody else. So that would be my ultimate take with AI. But and yeah, because I think that was because I was supposed to be on that stream, and I think that was one of the days that I had like doctor's appointments or something. My own all might power level running out in the middle of the day. But yeah, so I guess we're supposed to be signing off, right? Or
yep.
Okay. Yeah, so that would be my sign off.
All right.
And Alice, anything? Was that something? I think that was a dog barking. Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you for the chicken ASMR. Steal that idea, by the way. Just point a camera at them and just show people your cute chickens, right?
Yeah, that is actually kind of a neat idea. It's very like old school YouTube back when it was first starting. So it's a nice, relaxing chicken stream.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to work on some art tonight. Thank you for joining me, and we will catch you.
And so am I.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you're working on you're working on art and development for your novel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice. And people can follow your progress there, and you could on Twitter. And are you still taking commissions at this time, or are you concentrating on your novel for now?
I can still take commissions.
Yeah, she's always up for commissions, so she splits her time between the two.
And so I have a Patreon in case anyone wants to, help support me.
All right.
Help support her and the chickens. Have like the chicken Patreon.
And don't forget my cat.
Yeah.
I will update the description with links to Twitter and Patreon for everybody. So thanks for everyone who joined us in the chat, and we hope we will catch you in the future. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.